My daily life in a TV series. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 851 Amazing Videotape Medical Center, Green Clinic. Jill's videotape admission essay is still going on. Ross's sister-in-law who grew up in Big Brother. Rachel's feelings are very complicated about her younger sister who used to follow her but didn't learn everything well enough. But now she is confident and shining. Did she have surgery? Well, it must be the same as my nose. She had surgery. Rachel looked down and thought to herself, otherwise it can't be so exaggerated. As a mother of a 1-year-old baby daughter, Rachel, who has secondary development, said that she would not accept any possibility other than surgery. Otherwise, either she was completely crushed by her younger sister, or Ross was crushed by her younger sister's boyfriend. No matter which one, she was unwilling to accept it. As for surgery, this is the tradition of their Green family. She is only dissatisfied with the big nose, and the second child Amy is the most exaggerated, and she has undergone countless surgeries. Now it seems that the most exaggerated is the third child Jill. Although the second child Amy has undergone many surgeries, she only did microplastic surgery on her lips. Unlike the third child Jill, one surgery is better than 10. Adam was just appreciating the confidence and strong aura of a heroine displayed in the videotape. That's right, that's the flavor. A heroine doesn't follow the usual path, but always achieves unexpected success. The videotape continued to play. Jill had come out of the swimming pool, changed out of her bikini, and stood in front of a long table in a dazzling golden dress. The long table was full of beautiful women in cool clothes. Our maintenance department staff changed the toilet paper from the original brand to ordinary goods. Please raise your hands if you object. Jill, the president of the Triangle Women's Association of the University of Los Angeles, was holding a roll of toilet paper and presiding over the meeting seriously. As soon as the voice fell, the cool beauties sitting on both sides of the long table all raised their hands in response. The aura of Jill, the president of the Women's Association, was blowing in his face. Jill's narration was, as the president of the Women's Association, I am good at gaining attention, discussing problems, and solving problems. Adam didn't know whether to laugh or cry about this, but nodded secretly. This posture is quite similar to Sheldon's situation when he stood in front of a whiteboard with Rajesh, the bad man of the Three Kingdoms who was almost deported because he had no job, and stared at each other for days to the sound of the background music. Jill asked him to give a professional opinion, and Adam now has it. The most indispensable background music for a movie with a heroine is missing here. A movie with a heroine without the background music is not a qualified movie with a heroine, and the various amplification effects of the heroine are definitely not as good as those with background music. Adam's mind automatically matched the exclusive background music of Wonder Woman fighting monsters. He found that it was worthy of being a god-level background music for a heroine. Even if it was added to Jill's spoofed admission thesis videotape, it was not inconsistent at all, and it was still so exciting. Just as Adam was secretly planning for Jill, the videotape screen changed. Familiar swimming pool, familiar bikini, here we go again. Jill, wearing a bikini, lying on a floating blanket in the swimming pool, said, I can instantly remember hundreds of important details. This is a very good talent for lawyers, isn't it? At this time, Jill's bestie Selena, also wearing a bikini and lying on a floating blanket, floated over and asked a timely question. Jill, do you remember what was played in Our Day Yesterday? Of course, neurosurgeon Dr. Derek Lamore is brain dead again. Jill immediately took over and began to talk endlessly to verify that she could remember hundreds of important details. Don't say it. She really remembered all the details, and even completely complained about the plot from all angles, with novel angles and sharp and interesting views. Adam was really amazing this time. Even if she can't be a lawyer in the future, she will open a film and television complaining account on a certain Oriental station, and she will definitely not be inferior to a certain insect, a certain evil, or a certain deer, and easily have millions of fans, maybe even more. With her welfare girl's appearance and figure, she must be stronger. Just as Adam was thinking, the videotape changed the scene again. This time it was on the street. Wearing a low-cut red tight dress, red sunglasses, and carrying a bag, Jill came in alluringly and talked to the camera. In my daily life, I have already mastered the use of various legal terms. While she was talking, a junior student blew a slogan, walked past her, and stretched out his hand to make a dirty move. I object. Jill turned around skillfully to express her objection, and then smiled at the camera with an expression of "See it? Isn't it very skilled and formal?" Ross, who lowered his head and dared not look more, couldn't help but glance over again. Adam smiled knowingly. In the previous life, script killing was a little popular when I traveled through time. Why, isn't it just changing clothes and playing cosplay? The key is that there are professional scripts there, and professional screenwriters make up professional lines that match the character setting, so that people can quickly substitute. Jill's "I object" is a very professional line that lawyers often use in court. Looking at Ross's strange pig-like appearance, Adam can imagine what the professors of Harvard Law School who reviewed this videotape would be like. You know, they are professionals and have a better sense of substitution. Usually, they fight with their opponents in court. You object and I object. What would it feel like to watch the cute girl Jill shouting "I object" on the videotape? Isn't this consistent with the classic scenes and lines of The Island Country? Looking at the 3 scenes of Jill's videotape, all of them are showing off their bodies and looks, which is actually taking a different approach and playing to their strengths and avoiding their weaknesses. From the perspective of human nature, Adam believes that this has indeed made it possible to pass the application that was originally impossible. Otherwise, with Jill's undergraduate major and no work experience, there is no possibility of standing out among those applicants who are all doctoral students, graduate students, and mature professionals with many years of work experience. The video ends with Jill in a bikini, standing up from the pool, posing the classic akimbo pose of a beauty queen, and confidently facing the camera. In summary, you should vote for me. I am Jill Green, a future lawyer from the class of 2003, and I look forward to seeing you at the diverse and inclusive Harvard Law School. Law schools in American TV series are like medical schools, requiring undergraduate graduates to apply for admission. But unlike medical schools, which require 4 years to graduate with a doctorate in medicine, law schools only require 3 years to obtain a bachelor's degree in law. To borrow Howard's words, for most engineers, a master's degree is enough, and they don't need to get a doctorate. Most lawyers in the American TV world only have a bachelor's degree in law. After passing the threshold, they can enter a law firm and help people with lawsuits. As for the follow-up, there is naturally an upgrade route. That is a series of levels in the law firm, such as assistant lawyer, lawyer, senior lawyer, law firm partner, and law firm senior partner. These titles require a lot of time and energy to upgrade. Therefore, after crossing the threshold and getting the stepping stone, most people will not waste time staying in school to continue studying for a doctorate in law. If you have this much time, it is better to work and earn money while upgrading your skills. Of course, some people directly pursue a doctorate in law. However, most of them are foreign lawyers who are preparing to become lawyers in the United States. They cannot waste time studying from scratch like rookies in the first year of law school. If they go to law school again, they will naturally not get a bachelor's degree in law, but a doctorate in law. Chapter 852. Fortunately, there is Adam. Medical Center. Green Clinic. How is it? Jill looked at Adam expectantly. It's well filmed. Adam nodded and smiled. Do you have any good suggestions? Jill was very happy. Let's talk about this later. Adam raised his hand to check the time, stood up and said, Leonard is about to wake up. Let's go see him first. Yes, Dad. Rachel and Jill suddenly realized, they almost forgot about this again. It's not that they are really black-hearted cotton reincarnated, but in their subconscious, with Adam, they don't need to worry about their father. After all, even if they come, even if they bring their boyfriends and husbands, it's useless and can't help. With Adam, they feel at ease. Jill, keep this videotape. Adam took out the videotape, handed it to Jill, and reminded, Leonard just finished the operation. Don't tell him these things for the time being. Tell me if there is anything. I will tell him slowly. Okay. Jill smiled and nodded, without any objection. In her eyes, Adam is much better than her father, and there is no generation gap between them, so communication is smoother. VIP ward. Rachel, I think I'll wait outside. As soon as Ross approached, he began to struggle. Because my throat is a little itchy, I don't want to infect him. Come on, can you not be so afraid of him? Rachel said unhappily. Open your mouth, let me see. Adam smiled. Have you forgotten that I'm your doctor? I'm not afraid of him. Ross didn't look at Adam, but just looked at Rachel and emphasized, I'm really not feeling well. Is he awake? Adam looked at the nurse who was taking care of him. No. The nurse smiled. I feel much better. Ross heard it and immediately changed the subject. Let's go in and see him. As a son-in-law, he always has to visit his sick father-in-law. But it doesn't say that he must visit his father-in-law when he is awake. Just go. Don't blame Ross. Adam looked at Rachel and smiled. Ross is afraid of Leonard, which is a good thing for everyone. Rachel was stunned, then glanced at her younger sister Jill, who was more brutal than her, curled her lips and tilted her head, agreeing with Adam's statement. It's not a bad thing for a man to be afraid, otherwise, God knows whether he will commit a crime impulsively. Oh, my God. As soon as she pushed the door open, Rachel saw her father lying on the hospital bed and immediately exclaimed in worry. Jill did the same, but then it changed. Rachel walked to the bed, leaned over to look left and right, and muttered, the ear and nose hair trimmers I bought for him were wasted. Obviously, Jill also leaned over to stare at her father's nostrils, then reached out and touched Leonard's hair, complaining, and the conditioner I bought for him, the VIP card I gave him at the hair salon I introduced to him, were all wasted. No wonder Mom is always reluctant to get back together with him. Rachel stared at her father's face, and muttered with a little disgust, Dad, really? This is too rude. Adam's mouth twitched, and he looked at Leonard lying there with sympathy. Black-hearted cotton. Definitely black-hearted cotton. Ahem. Seeing that the two of them were going off topic endlessly, Adam had to cough to remind them, for fear that Leonard, who had just woken up, would see this black-hearted couple at home as soon as he opened his eyes, and he would be so angry that he would need to be rescued again. Rachel, Jill, don't get too close. Let Leonard wake up naturally. Oh, Rachel and Jill nodded and stopped their malicious comments. Adam, after my dad wakes up, can he go to Emma's birthday party? Rachel slapped her forehead and suddenly thought of a question. This is really not possible. Adam grinned. Leonard did not have a small operation, but a heart operation. Oh tilde. Rachel squatted down and looked at her daughter Emma in the stroller, and sighed regretfully. Grandpa can't attend our little Emma's first birthday party? Let's not blame him, okay? I can't go either. Adam reminded. Why? Rachel's voice immediately rose. Adam, the godfather, is the protagonist of this first birthday party. She wants to introduce him to everyone. Because I have to take care of Leonard. Adam said speechlessly. Is that so? Rachel was very conflicted. Can't we let someone else take care of him? You are Emma's godfather. You must be there. I think Dad would also want that. Let's do a video call, just like I'm there in person. Adam shook his head. Other doctors can indeed take care of Leonard, but I can't feel at ease if I don't do it myself. Seeing that Rachel still wanted to persuade him, Adam said decisively, this is the final decision. I think when Emma grows up and knows about this, she will agree with me to do this. This is her dearest grandfather. It's also my dearest father. Okay. Seeing Adam say this, Rachel also felt that she had neglected her father a little too much, and said embarrassedly, let's do a video call. My father's health is the most important. Ross, what are you doing? I'm watching TV. Ross spread his hands and shrugged innocently. He turned on the hanging TV opposite the bed, which was playing dinosaurs fighting cowboys. Seeing the dinosaur swinging its tail like a dragon, sweeping the cowboys who didn't follow martial ethics and beat them up, he couldn't help laughing. Are you not afraid of my dad now? Rachel glared at him. I've never been afraid of him. Okay. Ross, who was sitting on the sofa, coughed and laughed when he saw this, and even put his legs on the bed to show that he was not afraid. "Dad," Rachel and Jill shouted. "Don't lie to me." Ross shook his fingers and smiled to show that he was really not afraid. "Let go of your legs." Adam stepped forward to move Ross's legs. "You're pressing on Leonard's catheter, Dr. Green." Ross only then noticed something was wrong. He glanced to the side and happened to see Leonard, who had just woken up, looking at him coldly with his head tilted. He was so scared that he stepped back. Then he fell to the ground like those cowboys who were swept to the ground by his favorite dinosaurs. Adam could naturally support Ross, but he didn't do that. Leonard, who had just had heart surgery, needed a good mood. Ross, as a son-in-law, was also reasonable to wear colorful clothes to entertain his parents. "How do you feel?" Adam smiled. "For someone who just had heart surgery, it's great." Leonard smiled at Adam. "Thanks to you being by my side at the time. Otherwise, if it was a little later, or if another doctor was replaced, I don't know what would have happened." "This is all thanks to Rachel." Adam smiled. "Yes." Leonard glanced at Rachel, who couldn't help but feel proud, and nodded. "This is indeed thanks to Rachel." If Adam and Rachel were not friends, and Adam had not found him and helped him as the starting point of his medical career, there would be no today. The help Adam has returned to him now has far exceeded the help he gave Adam. But looking at Adam's loyalty and righteousness, it is not an equal exchange at all, but a return of a drop of water. He can't trust any of his 3 daughters, and the son-in-law of the only married daughter is also a useless guy who annoys him. Fortunately, there is Adam. If Adam hadn't clearly hinted that he was not interested in any of the 3 daughters, he really wanted Adam to be his son-in-law. However, although there are some flaws in the ointment, overall, he is very lucky. Otherwise, with Adam's ability, he could have achieved such success with anyone he found. If that were the case, he wouldn't have anything to do now. So this is indeed Rachel's credit. Chapter 853. I am a doctor and I am well versed in law. Isn't that reasonable? Medical Center. VIP ward. Rachel and Jill chatted with Leonard, who had just woken up for a while and then left. Tonight is little Emma's first birthday party, and many relatives and friends are invited to the party. Now that Leonard's condition is stable and Adam is taking care of him, this birthday party naturally cannot be cancelled. "Don't worry." After they left, Adam comforted him. "Jill with this fighting spirit is better than the fallen Jill. In this process, she can learn a lot of things, which will benefit her for life. And that's enough." "I hope so." Leonard sighed. "I'm afraid that the greater her hope, the greater her disappointment, and the greater the blow she will suffer at that time." "No." Adam smiled and said, "I think Jill is really talented. Maybe she will really create a miracle, and I will help her." "I have to trouble you again." Leonard was a little embarrassed. In the past, it was just the 3 careless daughters who might trouble Adam in the future, but now even he needs Adam to take care of him. "It's okay." Adam smiled and said, "These are all small matters, just rest assured." After chatting with Leonard for a while, seeing that he was stable, Adam told the nurse, left the ward, and called Matthew. Since he wanted to help Jill, he naturally had to consult people in the industry first. Among the friends, Matthew, the future marshmallow judge, was obviously the most suitable candidate. "Hi, Adam." "Hi, Matthew." After the call was connected, Adam told the matter. "Is that so? Then I'll take some time to help her with her lessons." Matthew pondered. "No, you have such a heavy workload." Adam shook his head and smiled. "And she's pretty hot. I don't want to affect your happy little family." "Come on." Matthew was unhappy when he heard this. "Don't you know about the relationship between Lily and me? Don't worry that I will fall in love with someone else. I'm not worried about you," Adam said leisurely. Matthew paused, and then changed his tone immediately. "You make sense. I am a student at Columbia Law School. What qualifications do I have to guide someone who wants to apply to Harvard Law School? There is no way." Whether it is Adam, the friend, or Matthew, the loving husband, they are not very confident about the devilish Lily. "Don't say that." Adam smiled and said, "That's because you don't want to leave New York and don't want to leave Lily. Otherwise, with your genius strength of going to 3 parties in a row, drinking 3 glasses of beer and going back drunk, and producing a 25-page paper in one night, You still gotta be under the strict standards of the cougar teacher. Don't say Harvard Law School, even Yale Law School. You can go if you want. In the world of American dramas, the ranking of law schools: Yale Law School is first, Harvard Law School is always the second, Stanford Law School is third, Columbia Law School is fourth. The interesting thing is that Yale, which is the first, and Stanford, which is the third, both take the elite small class route, and Harvard, which is the second, and Columbia, which is the fourth, both take the route of power by numbers. The future marshmallow Supreme Court Justice. The focus is not on the marshmallow, but on the Supreme Court Justice. Not everyone can become a Supreme Court Justice. Columbia Law School is also good. Matthew touched his head and smiled foolishly. Adam immediately felt the invisible smell of dog food. Matthew and Lily are a pair, so sweet to the bone. It's not Columbia Law School that is good, it's obviously Lily. Look at Gil's scumbag ex-boyfriend, who dumped his girlfriend who loved him deeply in order to go to Harvard Law School and become a senator in the future. Look at Matthew, the genius who can go to Yale Law School, who chose Columbia Law School, which ranked fourth, without hesitation for Lily. You know, this ranking, in the legal world where people fight in groups, directly determines his future to a certain extent. It takes a lot of courage and determination to be able to choose to give up. Since she is your friend, you can actually tutor her yourself. Matthew smiled foolishly for a few times, then reacted and reminded him, you have memorized all the legal provisions. As long as you want, you can become the top lawyer at any time. Now even if you don't have a bachelor's degree in law and can't appear in court, it's still easy to be the best private law professor and tutor homework. No time. Adam spread his hands. Matthew said speechlessly, you have time to memorize all the legal provisions, but no time to tutor homework. It's easy to memorize legal provisions. Just quickly flip through the big legal books and it's over. Adam smiled and said, but can tutoring others learn so quickly? This speed cannot depend on me, but on Gil's learning ability. Do you think I have the time? Okay. Matthew was speechless, but I still think it's too much for you to memorize all the legal provisions just to be on the safe side. No way, Adam teased. Do you know what people say about you lawyers? Playing with the law is dirty, right? Matthew said unhappily. Of course that's an exaggeration. Adam smiled and said, at least I know you're not that kind of person, but you can't deny that most lawyers will do anything for money. They have legitimate reasons that their predecessors have prepared long ago. Everyone has the right and freedom to enjoy legal defense. They are defending human rights and freedom. Alas, it's not as exaggerated as you say. Matthew sighed. Really? Adam said playfully. Do you believe it? Lawyers are different from doctors. Although there are all kinds of bastards in the doctor group, at least they are generally curing diseases and saving lives, and solving people's most basic survival needs. But lawyers are generally solving artificially created contradictions, many of which are created by lawyers themselves, and they want to take both sides over and over again. No, it should be that they want to take everyone over and over again. The key is that they all stick together. Even if a new lawyer has dreams and pursuits at the beginning, how long can he persist without being corrupted in this environment? Those who are not corrupted, without the support of the team, can't play at all. In the end, they can only be excluded from the corner and barely get by. How many rich people have been killed by their own lawyers? How many innocent people have been killed by their own lawyers when they want to seek help from lawyers, but their lawyers are bribed by the other party? As an ordinary person with a little money, I must understand the ways in this, otherwise it would be stupid to be killed by my own lawyer. Anyway, it's just a matter of reading a few more books, and it's not a big deal. Alas, so I have always wanted to work in a non-profit green organization and contribute to the Earth's environment. Matthew was speechless and could only sigh again. Haha, I still suggest that you consider becoming a judge. In the future, you can help more people throughout your life under the bottom line you insist on. Adam couldn't help but laugh, but he didn't continue to say anything explicit. He came to Matthew for help, not to destroy his worldview. Matthew, you are an insider. Please ask for me if there is such a person. First, he or she has a very high level of legal knowledge. Second, he or she must have a perfect score on LSAT, preferably from Harvard Law School. Third, He or she must be willing to take time to tutor Jill. The remuneration is easy to discuss. I guarantee he or she will be satisfied. Well, fourth, he or she must be a young and handsome guy. I hope this can ease Jill's feelings for that scumbag. So fifth, he or she must have a better character, in case Jill just escapes from the tiger's den and falls into the wolf's den again. Your requirements are too high. Seeing that Adam was as concerned about his friend as ever, Matthew suppressed the depression he had just felt when talking about the cruel reality. He smiled warmly in his heart and said, "I'll ask for you, with so many requirements. I guess it's impossible to meet all of them." "It doesn't matter." Adam smiled and said, "Ask first. Just meet the first 3 items. The last 2 are bonus points. It's great if you have them, and you can pay extra money. If you don't, that's okay. I won't force you." "Okay." Matthew agreed immediately. Chapter 854, Suits Medical Center. After hanging up the phone, Adam returned to the VIP ward and joined Leonard in a video call to greet the friends and relatives who were celebrating Emma's first birthday. The video call ended while Phoebe's fiancé Mike, the young Ant-Man, was hesitant to speak. Although Adam saw that Mike seemed to have something to say to him, he would not take the initiative to ask. He has a lot of things to worry about recently. If Mike doesn't say it, he will not bother to ask. It's just about the wedding. Most likely, Her Royal Highness Princess Consuela Banana Hammock, Phoebe's new name before marriage, has caused some trouble again. And the poop bag, Mike's name changed as a counterattack, wants to fight back or persuade. Without Adam, they can handle it themselves in the end. I thought Matthew would give him the news later. Unexpectedly, Matthew's speed exceeded Adam's imagination. Alas, it seems that Lily's previous complaints about the shortcomings and small flaws of their love are not groundless. It's not a physical problem, but a psychological problem. Having been in love for too long and being too affectionate, Matthew and his wife don't care about foreplay at all. Usually, they just exchange a devilish look and hug each other in the next second. At most, they just ask each other a question. Do it? Sure. This awkward and unfavorable situation would be no problem for Leonard. He is a genius in foreplay and tries hard. Of course, no one is perfect. In the same old couple situation, Leonard doesn't care about his wife as much as Matthew does except for those 2 or 3 things. But it's not surprising. Matthew and Lily are in love. Leonard and Penny are just trying to persuade each other, without much spiritual resonance. Naturally, all kinds of problems will arise over time. These weird thoughts flashed through Adam's mind, and he called Matthew. So fast? I'm always very fast. On the other end of the phone, Matthew had no idea that Adam's thinking would diverge at this time, and he was very happy to help his friend get the news as quickly as possible. "Adam, I asked for you, and there is indeed a person who is very suitable, but there are some minor flaws. I wonder if you can accept it." "Tell me." Adam became interested. "His name is Mike Ross," Matthew said. "He's a super genius, just like you, with a graphic memory. He easily scored 180 on the LSAT. If you want, he definitely has time to tutor Jill. And I heard he's a pretty good guy. The most incredible thing is, he's also very handsome." "Perfect." Adam was surprised that Mike Ross also had a graphic memory, but when he thought about the fact that this was a comprehensive world of American TV series and movies with countless genius characters, he wasn't too surprised. "The small flaw you're talking about is that he's not from Harvard Law School?" "Yes." Matthew laughed over there. "And not only is he not from Harvard Law School, he's not even from any law school. Then what does he do?" Adam's heart moved. "Yeah," Matthew said embarrassedly. "Adam, you know the pressure of exams in our industry, right?" "Of course. The senior sister at your wedding was really impressive." Adam nodded. "Because the pressure is too great. There is a gray industry in this industry." Matthew sighed. "Some very good test-taking geniuses will help others take exams." "Taking exams for others." Adam smiled. "I understand this. There are people in every industry who need to take qualification exams. It's good that you understand." Matthew breathed a sigh of relief. This Mike Ross is such a test-taking genius. Although he didn't go to Harvard Law School or any other law school, with his ability like you, he can get as many points as he wants and take exams for others and charge money. He definitely didn't do this for himself, right?" Adam smiled. Otherwise, with your personality, you would definitely not think he is a good person. Alas, Matthew sighed, every family has its own problems. He makes money to support his grandmother. Although I don't agree with his approach, I can understand it. Now, if he is willing to tutor Jill, Jill can get the best tutoring, and it is no longer impossible for her to enter Harvard Law School, and he can get rid of the illegal test-taking and have a chance to start a new life. Adam, so if possible, give him a chance and help him. I'll consider it. Adam nodded and said, if he really said what you said, I'm willing to give him a chance. After chatting with Matthew for a few more words, he hung up the phone. Check this person for me. Adam called his security personnel directly and gave orders. As the situation changed, Adam's security had been expanded several times, led by the old policeman Kate introduced before. Each of them was a talent. The investigation ability was first class. The next day, Adam saw the detailed investigation documents. In the document, Mike Ross had a gentle face and didn't look like a bad guy. The situation was similar to what Matthew knew. Mike Ross basically met Adam's requirements, but there were also troubles. Sure enough, these bullshit troubles again. Adam frowned. That's right, Mike Ross is fine, but his circle of friends is problematic. With his ability, the reason why he didn't go to Harvard Law School or even graduate from college was because he was caught for taking a math test for his roommate, and he embarked on the road of cheating. In one exam, he actually took the exam for the principal's daughter, and was expelled after being discovered by the principal. This roommate who ruined his future soon became a successful person like Heisenberg and Walter White after graduation. Mike Ross has such a friend around him, and he may be dragged into the abyss of crime at any time. How could Adam put such a person next to Jill? Matthew, help me find someone else. Adam temporarily put Mike Ross aside and asked Matthew to help him find a suitable person again. Mike Ross is not suitable? Matthew smiled bitterly. No. Adam explained the situation. Matthew listened and understood Adam's decision. The circle of friends has a great influence on people. Mike Ross's circle of friends is not large, and his best friend is such a person. It is indeed not suitable to contact. While Matthew continued to help Adam find a counselor, Adam was not idle either. He asked the security department to carry forward the tradition of good citizens again and keep a close eye on Mike Ross's Walter White friend. Once a situation is discovered, immediately perform the obligations of a good citizen and report anonymously, so that the police can bring justice from the sky and maintain the sweet ingredients of the air in this sky. After all, perfume is poisonous, not to mention the sweet air. No problem. It must be some kind of local specialty pollution that is popular with the public. It cannot be eliminated, but it must be controlled, otherwise everyone will be choked to death by the sweetness. Although Adam did not plan to let Mike Ross tutor Jill, he did not mind letting Mike Ross be a backup. After all, this is a genius, and his character seems to be good. Dong Chang. No. It is the American TV world that needs such talents. Adam secretly helped him remove the heavy burden that was dragging him down, so that he could have a good future, and he did a good deed that day. Chapter 855, Litigation Twins. After Adam lowered his standards, Matthew quickly helped Adam find a good tutor. Adam introduced the tutor to Jill. Jill was encouraged and threw herself into the battle of preparing for the Harvard Law School entrance exam. Over there, Mike Ross, the original first choice, was sighing about the changes in the world and not being happy or sad because of things. The day before, he was still in his good friend Trevor's luxury apartment, partying together. While partying, he resisted. Listen, man, to be honest, I can't do it anymore. I took the exam for someone else today and was almost caught. It's time to do something serious. Man, listen to me. Trevor, a successful man, wearing a high-end custom-made suit, tempted. Smoking a little bit won't affect your success at all. You sell this. Of course you say that, even if he was high. Mike Ross was still quick-witted and pointed out the problem. Don't say that. Trevor glanced at him and said, I've always said that as long as you want to join, I am always welcome. With your intelligence and my management ability, we will definitely become the most successful supplier of high-quality medical supplies in New York. No, in the whole world. That was the tone you used when you asked me to take the math test for you. Mike Ross leaned back on the sofa and glanced at him sideways. Then I was arrested. What a wonderful memory, isn't it? Trevor smiled proudly. Listen, no one will suspect that we are criminals. Look at me. This suit costs $2,000, and I have 12 suits like this. We are successful people. I am doing a serious software project. Customers give me briefcases full of cash, and I exchange them for briefcases of the same appearance, containing vacuum-packed high-quality medical supplies. It's reasonable and formal, isn't it? Everything was fine before I was arrested. Mike Ross shook his head and said, once I'm arrested, everything will be over. I have a grandmother to support, and you have Jenny. We can't afford to lose. Please. Trevor spread his hands, leaned back, and said nonchalantly, how can it be so easy to be caught? As long as we cooperate, use your brain to design the most perfect cover-up plan for us. By then, as the business grows, we will have enough money to wash our hands and become whoever we want to be. Besides, even if you are caught, it is enough for you to save enough money, and as long as you have money, your grandma is in a nursing home, it doesn't matter. Don't tell me you don't know about the shocking scandal of the Golden Light nursing home that was exposed not long ago? Mike Ross stood up, shook his head, and his eyes condensed. I don't want my grandma to not even be qualified to be admitted to the Golden Light nursing home, let alone after my grandma is admitted. She has no backing to support her and let her live a terrible life controlled by others. So in order for my grandma to spend her old age in peace, from today on, I must not only make money, but also protect myself, and absolutely nothing can happen. Don't tempt me and win me over again. That's it. Trevor looked at Mike, who was wandering away, and showed a smug smile. They had had this kind of conversation many times. Every time Mike Ross said he wanted to work properly, with Mike's genius IQ and image memory, he could learn anything very quickly, but he hadn't even graduated from college, and he couldn't even get into a good job, not to mention the high monthly fees for Mike's grandmother in a private nursing home, which made him unwilling to stick to the bottom line. Trevor kept tempting because he knew Mike was struggling. Recently, Mike's grandmother's condition worsened, and perhaps soon he would be able to bring Mike, who was in urgent need of a large amount of medical expenses, on board. He really admired Mike's IQ and ability, and sincerely hoped that the two of them would work together. Otherwise, how could he become best friends with a guy who was quite ambiguous with his girlfriend and might cheat on him at any time? Trevor's hunch was right. The next day, Mike went to the nursing home to see his grandmother. Although her grandmother repeatedly asked him to promise not to do things that were on the edge of the law and to work hard, he did promise. But the grandmother's condition worsened and needed round-the-clock care, and he had to pay an additional $25,000. Otherwise she would be sent to a public nursing home. Mike naturally couldn't agree, because that would mean that his grandmother would have to wait for death there freely. Mike called Trevor directly and said that he was willing to join, but he had to give him $25,000, and only once. Trevor, who was handing over to a new partner from afar, happily agreed. But then he couldn't laugh anymore. The police came to justice and surrounded him. The new partner didn't believe him at first, and was ready to try whether he was an undercover agent of the police. Seeing this speed and posture, he directly regarded him as an undercover agent, didn't listen to his explanation at all, and took out a gun and fired several rounds of bullets. He was just one person, and the other side had 3 or 4 big men. He was sweating profusely, shot several times, and was seriously injured and sent to the hospital. Mike was about to do his best to help his grandmother raise medical expenses, but who knew that he received a call from Trevor's girlfriend Jenny in a blink of an eye, saying that Trevor was seriously injured and hospitalized. By the time he arrived, Trevor had already died. Holding Jenny, who was crying, he was worried about his grandmother's medical expenses, and sighed about the impermanence of life, and was endlessly afraid. If he had taken this path a little later, would he have been the one to die? He was afraid of death, but he was more afraid that his grandmother would be alone and no one would take care of her after he died. Adam, who was standing not far away and saw this scene, was also surprised. After he came out of the operation, he suddenly caught a glimpse of Mike Ross. After secretly asking what happened, he was also a little surprised. Originally, he thought that Mike Ross's criminal friend would only be arrested, but he didn't expect that he would be beaten to death so quickly. However, when he thought that the murderers were criminals who came to New York from their hometown of Texas, Adam was relieved again. Everyone knows that in Texas, where martial virtues are abundant, people will shoot at the slightest disagreement, and criminals are more likely to die than death row prisoners. The biggest trouble was eliminated in such a dramatic way. Adam couldn't help but think of turning Mike Ross from Jill's spare tire tutor to a regular one. It's not that the one Matthew introduced before is not good, but Mike Ross is better. Such a talented genius, but because of past mistakes, can't become a lawyer. But this is exactly a good thing for Jill. In all the movies and TV series with heroines, there is always such an all-round genius man who silently supports the heroine behind the scenes. Mike Ross can't stand out, as long as they become good friends with each other, or boyfriends and girlfriends. One of them is in the front and the other is behind the scenes. They can team up to brush the copy of the lawyer profession. Maybe Jill will really become an outlier and legend in the legal profession. People in the industry send litigation male and female evil, litigation couple. If it can really reach this point, let Jill become the light of the Green family, not to mention Leonard's relationship. Even if Jill and the genius Mike Ross team up to become litigation couples, it will be very good for Adam. What is a network? If Adam has the most awesome legendary friends in all walks of life, you can imagine how much influence Adam will have overtly and covertly. With this kind of him, he is not afraid of anything he encounters. Even if Bald Dyke and the others go crazy one day and insist on provoking Adam, and Adam can't help but kill them, there won't be any trouble. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 856, A Clash of Geniuses. Who is the king of forcing? Medical Center. No class today. Why? Adam was moved and took action immediately. He started to make phone calls like a drama queen. You have a lot of schoolwork these days. You don't have time? How can this be possible? I hired him, a student at Harvard Law School, at a price of $100 per hour, just to help Jill with her LSAT. You should know that the average hourly wage of a lawyer is less than $60, and as long as he is good, the hourly wage can be raised. What I want is the effect. Even if she can't pass the December exam, she must pass the February next year. But with this efficiency of taking a while and stopping for a while, Jill will not be able to pass the Harvard Law School admission application next year. This is absolutely not acceptable. Find someone to take the exam for her. How dare you? I didn't go through so much trouble to help her cheat and go to Harvard Law School to meet her scumbag ex-boyfriend. What I want is for Jill to learn knowledge in this process and comprehensively improve her vision and mentality. It would be best if she could realize how ridiculous it was for her to pursue a man who played the law so hard before. What I want is this process. Do you understand? I don't believe that I can find someone else. There are so many graduates from Harvard Law School every year. Can every one of them get into Pearson Hardman Law Firm and earn hundreds or thousands of dollars an hour? Since Harvard Law School students are busy with their studies and don't have enough time, they can find regular lawyers who have already graduated. This hourly wage is enough to hire them to tutor Jill full-time. After hanging up the phone, Adam shook his head and left. Mike Ross, who was hugging his buddy's girlfriend not far away, had already attracted all the attention. Even Jenny, who lost her boyfriend, forgot to cry for a moment. She looked up at Mike, her good friend whom she had always admired. She knew that what he had always lacked was just an opportunity. Go. Jenny wiped her tears and pushed Mike. Mike was a little entangled. This good buddy just passed away. He didn't comfort Jenny and accompany her to see his good buddy for the last time, but went to busy himself with his own things. It was really a bit unreasonable. This is a rare opportunity. Jenny smiled. If Trevor were still here, he would support you in doing this. Didn't he invite you to work with him last night? Then I'll go ask. Wait for me. I'll be back soon." When Mike heard this, he immediately remembered that Trevor was dead, and his grandmother's 25,000 yuan fee was completely gone. Now was indeed his best chance. With an hourly wage of 108 hours a day, and a month, he could handle this high fee. With the other party's tone of not lacking money just now, as long as he proved his value, it would probably be no problem to withdraw it in advance. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. "Go ahead, I'll wait for you." Jenny smiled softly. Mike lowered his head and kissed Jenny on the forehead, then ran after Adam. "Wait a minute." Mike caught up with Adam. "What's the matter?" Adam paused and smiled. "Dr. Duncan." Mike glanced at the ID badge on Adam's chest and rubbed his hands, saying, "I know this is very presumptuous, but I just overheard your call. Are you looking for someone who can tutor you for the LSAT?" "Yes." Adam was surprised. "Don't you happen to know such a person?" "I can tutor you." Mike looked at Adam and said neither servilely nor arrogantly, "Are you from Harvard Law School?" Adam smiled. "No." Mike smiled and said, "But I have tutored many people and successfully sent them to Harvard Law School. If you are so capable, why don't you go to Harvard Law School?" Adam naturally couldn't agree right away, so he pretended, "It can't be because you are from Yale Law School, right?" "No." Mike paused and said sincerely, "Because of some past, I couldn't enter Harvard Law School, but I am capable enough to tutor anyone, especially for those who want to enter Harvard Law School. My tutoring experience is extremely rich, and what's better than those students is that I can tutor full-time and wholeheartedly." Stock option backdating. Adam looked at Mike for a while, and when Mike looked at him frankly, he suddenly said, "Although backdating options is legal, according to Section 409A of the Internal Revenue Code, information disclosure is still illegal. Do you have anything to add?" "You missed the Sarbanes-Oxley Act." Mike looked at Adam in a white coat in surprise, speaking professional legal terms skillfully, and asking professional legal questions that would definitely be difficult for ordinary law school students, but he still answered them all at once. "After 1997, this law has expired due to the expiration of the statute of limitations," Adam reminded, "unless you can find a related lawsuit to cover up the violation ruled by the Sixth Circuit Court in May 1998. Mike immediately refuted, "Good rebuttal." Adam smiled. "It seems that you do have a capital of confidence." "Dr. Duncan, how do you know all this?" Mike smiled reservedly, and then looked at Adam curiously. "I like reading. I can understand everything I read, and once I understand it, I will never forget it." Adam smiled reservedly. "Of course, except mathematics." Mike's mouth twitched, because this is what he often said to others when he was pretending to be cool. He never thought that someone would say it to him today. Of course, he didn't say the last supplementary mathematics, but he agreed with Adam's supplement very much, because he couldn't understand the advanced mathematics even if he read it. "You don't believe it?" Adam laughed. "How do you think a doctor like me can know so much about the law?" "Because I have a high-definition image memory. For professions like law that require a lot of memory, I can learn it just by looking at it. If I wasn't too busy, I could tutor Jill myself." "Agency related to civil liability, based on multiple factors?" Mike suddenly asked. "Barbary Law Manual, including ultra vires agency, apparent agency related to the plaintiff, and the nature of the damage itself." Adam skillfully recited the subsequent content, and asked the shocked Mike back, "Do you know how many pages and lines it is?" 103 pages, lines 45-48. Mike reported it immediately. "You also have a graphic memory?" Adam looked at him admiringly. "I always thought I was the only one who had it, and this is the first time I've met someone like me," Mike exclaimed. "This is my second time." "Oh, it should be the third time." Adam laughed. "My good friend Dr. Sheldon Cooper has this ability since he was a child, and I also have a good friend Dr. Peggy Adler who can almost be considered to have this ability, and in their eyes, mathematics does not need an exception." "So amazing?" Mike was stunned. "They both went to college at the age of 11, and both got their first doctorate at the age of 15, one in mathematics and the other in physics." Adam expressed his affection for the genius of the same kind in a proper way, and invited him naturally. "Come on, come to my office, Let's have a good chat. Okay. Mike also developed a liking and curiosity for Adam, a genius of the same kind, and naturally would not refuse. The two went to Adam's office. Tell me, with your ability, how did you get to the point where you have to help others with their homework? Adam and Mike chatted for a while before getting to the point. Mike looked at Adam, and after a moment's silence, he confessed his past to Adam. After listening, Adam nodded secretly, which was basically consistent with the information he had found. Chapter 857 Sheldon, I know this. Medical Center. Office. Do you know Ellis Nursing Home? Adam pondered for a moment and looked at Mike, who was looking at him. Of course I know. Mike was stunned, then excited. You mean, as long as you are willing, I can help you send your grandmother there? Adam smiled and said, I think you should be able to feel more at ease there, right? I am willing, Mike said in surprise. Since the outbreak of the Jingwang nursing home incident, medical care and elderly care have become the most worrying issue for all relevant parties. Mike is no exception. All he can do is pretend to be a lawyer and use professional legal terms to intimidate the staff of the nursing home. Even so, he is still not at ease, and has increased the frequency of visits from once a month to 3 or 4 times a month. He has also heard about the news of Ellis Nursing Home and has visited it on site. Unfortunately, although he likes this very pure nursing home, not everyone can enter. The other party gives priority to those poor and lonely elderly people without family, and secondly to those independent and successful people who are willing to sponsor a large amount of money. Even so, it needs to be screened again. The specific criteria were not mentioned, but with his intelligence and observation, he could easily observe them from the visit. They were all peaceful and good people. Good people should be rewarded in their later years. When Mike observed this result, he was even more moved. In his eyes, his grandmother was an absolutely good person. She could have entered, but the only thing that restricted her was her grandson. This made him helpless. Now that Adam proposed this, he had thrown aside any hourly wages. As long as his grandmother could enter, he was willing to tutor her for free. Let his grandmother live in such an environment, make a group of good friends of the same age, spend time with her friends on weekdays, and spend time with her grandson on holidays. This is simply a dream life. His grandmother is not just a grandmother, but a whole family to him. With his image memory, he clearly remembers all the details from childhood to adulthood. His grandmother took over the bedwetting him and raised him alone. She deserves to enjoy such a life in her later years. Haha. Adam couldn't help laughing. I have 2 requests. Today I know the joy of having a famous charity organization in my hands. What a pleasant surprise. Please go ahead. Mike nodded. The first one is Gil's studies. Adam said, she has been a pampered little princess since she was a child. Her major in college is fashion purchasing. Although they'll saw tests reading and logical analysis, it is a difficult task to help her get a score of more than 175. What we want is for her to grow in the process, so it is also your important task to guide her to enjoy the interest and habit of learning. We need you to be professional enough, and we need you to be patient enough and have enough skills. That's no problem, Mike promised. I will do my best. Yeah, Adam nodded and said, the second requirement may be a little offensive, but it is also a hard requirement. You can't use this cologne anymore. Mike was stunned. What? I can't accept the cologne you use. Adam took a deep look at Mike. This is what my good friend Sheldon said. His uncle often exudes this smell. He thinks this cologne smells very strong and unpleasant. I am a doctor, and I hate this kind of cologne that can damage the nervous system. So, do you understand? Cologne is the general term for male perfume in the American TV world. Because of the objective reasons of human structure, almost all men in American TV series use it. This is the same reason why both men and women in American TV series like to take a shower in the morning before going out. It is similar to respecting the opponent before performing a big play. Sheldon is not interested in vulgar things. Every time he sees his uncle smells like this, so he always thinks that his uncle uses a special cologne. I understand. Mike understood immediately. He just had a party with Trevor last night. I didn't expect that he still has that smell on his body now. Is this cologne given to you by the friend who tempted you to sell the test paper? causing you to be caught and ruin your future? Adam pretended not to know. If so, how can you guarantee your words? There are temptations from friends outside and addiction left in the body inside. It is difficult to do what you say. You also know that I asked you to guide Jill to be positive, not to make Jill possibly be influenced by you and become bad. Can you eliminate my worries? My friend is dead, Mike said after a moment of silence. I'm sorry. Adam shook his head and said, but this can't completely dispel my doubts. After all, the temptation of friends is only an external factor. The real internal factor is you. If you don't want to use this cologne, no one will force you. Just like when you first sold the test paper, it was also your final decision and action. Now although your friend who tempted you is gone, how can you guarantee that you will take one step at a time and no longer try to take shortcuts? I can't prove it. Mike's eyes darkened. That's a pity, Adam said. When you really make up your mind and no longer want to take shortcuts when you encounter a little difficulty, then come to me. Now you go to accompany your grandma first. Have a good chat with her and ask her what kind of person she wants you to be. Don't you also have a visual memory? Remember this scene and conversation, and set it as an alarm clock when you wake up every day. When you encounter setbacks and want to use this cologne again, call this scene and conversation. Of course, if you don't love your grandma deeply enough and think that your grandma's expectations of you are not important enough, then just ignore what I said. I love my grandma, Mike couldn't help but refute. Then prove it with your actions. Adam smiled and said, I can wait for you for a week. If you can make up your mind completely, I will give you this opportunity. If you can't do it, don't come. You can't fool me. If you get it too easily, people will not cherish it. Whether Mike Ross can completely transform depends on himself. If he still can't do it at this point, it can only mean that either his will is too weak or his love for his grandmother is not deep enough. In either case, Adam will give up on him. No matter how talented such a person is, Adam is unwilling to let him get close. I will come. Mike and Adam looked at each other for a while, got up and left, walked to the door, and turned around and said, I hope you can come too. Adam said sincerely, not to mention Mike's help to Jill, which may help Adam in the future. Just mention Mike's picture memory and his IQ that can understand everything he sees except mathematics, physics and chemistry. He is definitely very intelligent. With this character and appearance, Adam would not believe that he is not the protagonist of an American TV series. Once Mike is completely transformed and can become friends with Adam, he will definitely provide Adam with wisdom points and strength points immediately. Even the wisdom points are estimated to be not low. How could Adam not want him to come? But the premise is that he has really changed. Otherwise, the benefits he brings are not enough to offset the risks he brings. After Adam's IQ exceeded 180, the dividing line of super genius, the effect of the improvement is not obvious enough. This is also normal. After the size increases, if you want to make earth-shaking changes, the amount and time required to accumulate will continue to lengthen. Therefore, Adam is now very Buddhist about the improvement of wisdom points. If it can be improved, it's good. If it can't, it doesn't matter. Mike left with a determined look. Chapter 858, Looking for the Best Man, an Ominous Premonition, Medical Center. One Mike left, and another one came. Let me be the best man? Adam looked at Phoebe's fiancé Mike in surprise. You had a group wedding that day, and I'm going to be Joey's best man. Isn't it enough to have Chandler as the chief best man and Ross as the best man? Mike said embarrassedly. You came to my side to be my chief best man. I'm honored, but where is your best friend? Adam asked in surprise. I don't have any. Mike smiled bitterly. It's only now that I realize that I can't even find a chief best man. I can't even find a best man. You don't have any male friends? Adam's eyes suddenly became strange. Since junior high school, I prefer to play with girls. Mike's high emotional intelligence interprets the playboy. Haha. Adam couldn't help laughing. Me too, but you don't have no male friends, right? Okay, Mike said helplessly. I really didn't pay attention to this before, and it's too late to change now. I just found someone to be the best man. But Phoebe doesn't agree. Has Phoebe decided who will be the maid of honor? Adam asked curiously. Monica or Rachel? Neither. Mike smiled. She doesn't want them to fight, nor does she want them to bother her. Besides, when Monica and Rachel got married, they were each other's maid of honor. Phoebe said that everyone has only one best friend, so she found someone else. Does Phoebe's best friend have a boyfriend? Adam reminded. If so, wouldn't it be nice for you to invite him? Yes. Mike smiled bitterly, but I can't get along with him, and he won't show up at the wedding because Phoebe is afraid that Monica will be angry. Will it be Monica's ex-boyfriend? Adam's heart suddenly moved. Richard or Peter? Peter. Mike smiled. Thank God. Adam joked. If it was Richard, Phoebe might not be able to attend the wedding alive. Although they are both ex-boyfriends with deep impressions, Richard's position in Monica's heart is completely different. Monica has no feelings when Richard is dating someone else, but if Phoebe secretly introduced Richard to someone behind her back and showed up at the wedding, Monica would definitely be itching to do it. You can't blame it all. Peter is indeed different from ordinary people. Adam smiled. A billionaire learns boxing, and he doesn't give up even when he is beaten black and blue. He persists at the risk of being beaten stupid or killed, hoping to win the championship. Mike, who only likes to play with women, how could he tolerate such a friend? Then it's settled? Mike smiled. Sorry. Adam shook his head. Phoebe is right. This best man represents the best friend. It is both an honor and a pressure. I have been the best man for Chandler. Why don't you look for another one? Okay. Mike smiled bitterly. This is not the first time I have been rejected. Don't worry. There is still some time. You can find one. Adam comforted. A week later, Mike Ross came over. Adam talked to him, and felt that he was really determined, so he agreed to hire him. And the other Mike's search for a best man also had results. Old Friends Bar, PFFT. What a coincidence. Adam received a call and came to the party. He found that his old friends were actually with Matthew and others, and then learned that the best man Mike found was Matthew. I didn't expect that either. Matthew laughed. I saw Mike playing bass in the school bar, and I liked his playing very much. A few days ago, I ran into him in the bathroom again, and I took the initiative to say hello to him. I didn't expect him to respond so enthusiastically. Then in the blink of an eye, I have become his best man. Sorry, I really need a best man. Mike apologized. Don't say that, buddy. Matthew patted his shoulder generously. Is our happiness these days all fake? Adam's mouth twitched. Why did this sound so awkward? Of course your happiness is real, Phoebe said with a smile, but the tone was not right. A little sour. Yeah, Lily couldn't help but agree. If you didn't know, you two would think you were getting married. Haha. Matthew laughed, but he stopped laughing because the smiles of others were weird. You're not serious, are you? Matthew was surprised. I was just talking about guitar with Mike. Is that so? Oh, really? Phoebe was a little angry now that Mike was talking about Matthew all the time, and he seriously ignored her, the bride-to-be. So she moved while she was talking. The big sister Phoebe came online and snatched Lily from Matthew. Everyone was stunned. How do you feel about this? Phoebe let go of Lily, who was in a daze, and looked at Matthew and Mike provocatively. I'm excited. Joey told the truth. Ross wanted to look but didn't, swallowing his saliva. I was wrong, Matthew and Mike shouted in unison. Actions speak louder than words. The key is that everyone knows that Phoebe and Lily may really do such a thing. They do enjoy playing instruments together and sharing life, which is very pleasant. But that is the seasoning of life. The main theme of life is to live a happy life with a loving wife and future wife. How can happiness compare to happiness? Fate is really amazing. Adam tried to smooth things over and sighed. Who would have thought that there was such a connection between the old friends circle and the circle of friends looking for their mothers? After chatting and laughing with everyone until midnight, Adam returned to the medical center. Damn it. Again? Adam saw Christina sitting there playing with a 1-carat diamond ring. Meredith next to her had a complicated expression. Did Dr. Burke propose to you? Yeah. Christina half raised her eyes, not in a good mood. Why? Are you worried? Adam suppressed the ominous premonition that many friends around him were getting married, and said in surprise, this is too sudden. I haven't thought about this issue at all. Christina played with the diamond ring in her hand, with an inexplicable expression. Do you want to learn from Meredith? Adam smiled. Hey, What do you mean? Meredith looked over at once with displeasure. I mean that although my heart is moved, I still refuse. Adam instantly switched from low-ec to high-ec. Meredith's face darkened. I won't wear it. Christina raised the diamond ring in her hand and made a decision. I am a surgeon, an excellent surgeon like him, and I will not be bound by a diamond ring. Are you going to reject Burke? Meredith said anxiously. Don't be so impulsive. You and I are different. You mean you agree to the proposal but without a ring? But Adam understood. Although you will be Dr. Burke's wife in the future, you will also be his excellent colleague. Yes. Christina smiled and said, we are very rich. We can just hire someone to do the chores at home that a wife should do. Then what are you still doing here? Adam reminded with a smile. Do you want me to help you hire someone now? Let this hired wife tell Dr. Burke the good news, and then let this wife bear Dr. Burke's joy? No need. Christina immediately trotted away. Chapter 859, A flying car attacks the medical center. Christina accepted Dr. Burke's proposal. The next day, congratulations. Adam smiled at Dr. Burke who was walking side by side with Christina. Thank you. Dr. Burke was all smiles. Adam could see that he really liked Christina. Of course, Christina did have her charm in addition to her looks. Dr. Burke knew how to appreciate it. This was a person who had escaped from vulgarity. Adam was far inferior to her. Beep, beep. The pager rang. Adam nodded to the newlyweds and rushed to the emergency room with the 4 children. What's the situation? Adam was about to ask when he suddenly recognized the person on the gurney. Mr. O'Malley? Dad. George O'Malley's face turned pale and he exclaimed, what's wrong with you? 54 years old. Male. Rib fracture. Severe abdominal pain. The paramedic said. What happened? Adam walked into the emergency room while checking. Some bastards tried to hijack the car, but I fought them off. George's father smiled nonchalantly. When I got out of the car to chase them, I was not paying attention and fell to the ground. I broke my bones, but it's no big deal. Carjacking? Fighting off? George was horrified. Yes. George's father smiled. George, you have always been resistant to us taking you to hunt turkeys before Thanksgiving every year. Now you know why we insist on hunting every year? If we really encounter danger, we can use the guns in our hands to protect ourselves. Dad, George shouted, now is not the time to talk about this. How could such a bad carjacking happen? His father has been a truck driver for decades, and he has naturally heard of carjacking since he was a child. This is not the first time. George's father showed a familiar expression. There are often bastards who want to take advantage of us truck drivers, stealing oil and goods. There are too many. It's just that it's more rampant recently. Why? Adam's heart moved. The cause is a group of speeding robbers in California. George's father suddenly showed an angry look on his face. They all drove modified racing cars and formed teams to follow our trucks. Then they shot the back of the truck with a gun rope, climbed onto the truck quietly, and stole the precious goods. If they were discovered by the truck driver, they would change to arrogant and blatant robbery. Now they simply drove in front of us and shot through the windshields in front of us. After hitting the co-pilot seat with the gun rope and fixing it, they climbed to the co-pilot seat, knocked out the driver with a tranquilizer gun, and drove away directly in the entire truck. They are all professionals, and it is difficult for truck drivers to resist. Either they watch them steal the goods, or they fight with them, and then they can't control the car, and finally have a car accident. The car is destroyed and people are killed. There have been many cases. They are all modified racing cars, coming and going like the wind, and the location they choose is on a deserted road, so it's useless to call the police. This cancerous atmosphere instantly spread from California to the whole country. Similar imitation cases continue to occur in various places. It's just that some succeed and some fail because of different levels. We truck drivers are not vegetarians either. We have been through it early. What's the use of baseball bats? Just use guns. Every truck driver now carries a shotgun. As long as they dare to come, we will shoot. It's the same for me this time. I met a group of idiots who have no skills but want to learn from others to rob. I hit one. Maybe we will meet here. Ha 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 ha. Dad, George complained. Okay. George's father put away his smile. I know it's wrong to hurt others, But they are too arrogant. More than 10 truck drivers have been killed by them. There are even more truck drivers who have lost their valuable goods and jobs due to their robbery. I have to shoot, George. Go to the free clinic today. Don't stay here, Adam ordered. Melendez, take Mr. O'Malley to do an X-ray, and then book an endoscopic surgery. Is there anything wrong? George said nervously. We need to do an endoscopy to know. Adam shook his head and said, you are the patient's family member. You cannot participate in this case. Adam. George was obviously unwilling. Dr. O'Malley. Adam frowned and said, since you don't have the heart to manage the free clinic, then take a day off. But you must not interfere with the doctor's diagnosis. Carter, you will be in charge of the clinic. Melendez, if Dr. O'Malley interferes with you, expel him immediately. Yes, the little man agreed immediately. Gray, follow me. After Adam assigned the tasks, he took Lexi to greet the ambulance again. This time it was a man whose chest was almost broken. The police car roared over, as expected. This was the guy who was shot by George's father with a shotgun. After Adam rescued the robber who was almost blown up. Dr. Duncan, Mr. O'Malley's endoscopic biopsy report is out. The little man handed a report to Adam. Have you notified the director? Adam took it. Because Adam was busy rescuing the robber, the endoscopic surgery was performed by the chief of surgery himself. Not yet. The little man shook his head. Where's George? Adam glanced and shook his head. No. The little man looked at Adam. We have to tell him. Adam took the report and the little man to the ward. George's two brothers had already come. There was another commotion in the ward with 4 O'Malleys. George dealt with the ridicule of his two brothers, while George's father was smiling and trying to smooth things over. Dr. Duncan, how is it? As soon as Adam came in, George and his father looked over immediately. The biopsy was abnormal. Adam looked at George's father. Mr. O'Malley, you have esophageal cancer, stage 3, and it has spread to your stomach. We have to do surgery to remove it, and then you have to do chemotherapy and radiotherapy. I'm sorry. George was stunned. The O'Malley family was also stunned. It must be God's punishment. George's father murmured, I shouldn't have gotten out of the car to chase him. If I hadn't gotten out of the car to chase him, I wouldn't have been injured. And if I hadn't been injured, cancer wouldn't have been discovered. It must be God's blessing. Adam comforted him. It's now stage 3. Although the possibility of a complete cure is very small, as long as active treatment is given, the quality of life and life expectancy can be greatly improved. If it is delayed to stage 4, even surgery can't be done. Everyone was silent. Adam looked at George. George, do you have anything to say? If not, we need to help Mr. O'Malley do an ultrasound test as soon as possible to see if his heart can accept surgery. George shook his head with a pale face. Melendez, prepare for the preoperative ultrasound, Adam ordered. The little man responded and left. Adam walked out of the ward and looked at Agent Jesse Page, who had been watching him outside. Is your FBI responsible for this? Yes. Jesse Page looked at Adam. Dr. Duncan, we want to ask you for a favor. Sorry. Adam shook his head. I'm busy and don't have time. You didn't even ask what the favor was? Jesse Page frowned. I'm not interested in any favor. Adam smiled and said, unless it's your personal matter, you should go find someone else. Chapter 860. The old driver took me to the medical center. See the patient inside? Jesse Page gestured. Do you know why he was injured? Luckily fell. Adam smiled. It's a blessing in disguise that esophageal cancer was discovered in advance. Jesse Page paused, took a deep breath. He was a truck driver, targeted by carjackers, and almost died. Truck drivers like him are constantly encountering carjackers and dying. So? Adam smiled. We need your help. Jesse Page stared at Adam. Your driving skills are very good. What am I not good at? Adam interrupted. But my best skill is to cure diseases and save lives. Don't you doctors also say that prevention is better than cure? Jesse Page retorted. Otherwise you wouldn't have a free clinic. Compared to passively treating these victimized truck drivers, you are fully capable of helping them prevent being killed. It seems that you care about me a lot. Adam's eyes fixed. Did you investigate this yourself, or did you read the archives in your bureau? Is there a difference? Jesse Page frowned. Of course there is a difference, Adam said with a half smile. If it is the record in your bureau's files, it means that your bureau has begun to pay too much attention to me, an ordinary doctor. This is not a good thing. I will stay away from you and let my lawyer keep a close eye on you. I investigated it myself. Jesse Page understood what Adam said and could only say depressedly, I knew it. Adam nodded. Kate and I are good friends. You are so shameless, Jesse Page said speechlessly. Okay, let's get down to business. We want you to help arrest the car robbers in California who caused this car robbery in the whole country. Sorry, I can't do it. Adam refused flatly. Seeing that she wanted to speak again, he interrupted directly. Don't say you haven't finished yet. I know your routine without you saying it. Either you are an undercover agent, infiltrating the suspected car robbers, collecting evidence, and bringing them to justice. With my driving skills, I can easily complete this task. But please, look at my face. Not to mention the whole world. It is not an exaggeration to be famous in the whole country, right? With this face, how can I be an undercover agent? Either you want me to chase the car and force them to stop. This can also be easily accomplished with my driving skills, but don't forget that they are a criminal gang. Even if they are arrested, with your style of doing things, you can either do nothing to them and let them escape easily, or you need them to do dirty work when you encounter something, negotiate with them, and play the art of deal. Ignore your original intention to catch them now, and seek justice for those truck drivers. You can say righteously that it is for the sake of the overall situation, and then directly clear their criminal records, so that they can enjoy a luxurious life under the sun and beach. Because the dead truck drivers are not your relatives, they are just a string of numbers that you use when you need them and throw away when you don't. But no matter which one it is, I, a doctor who is eager to help, will have to bear the revenge of these criminal gangs afterwards. Maybe I won't die, but my relatives and friends will definitely suffer heavy casualties and be extremely miserable. But again, what does our life and death have to do with you? That's just an example. Jesse Page hesitated. The Texas family massacre in September 1999, the California bombing in August, the Las Vegas shooting in July, the mass burial in West Virginia in June. Adam directly slapped his face with big data. Every time she talked about a case, Jesse Page's face darkened. When Adam talked about 10 cases in a row and looked like he could talk endlessly, her face had darkened to the extreme and turned extremely pale. Did she know this? Some knew, some didn't, but she definitely didn't know that there were so many cases where secondary large-scale casualties were caused by the art of trading. The ones I cited are all major events, and there are even more small-scale ones. I can tell you that they are different every day. Adam smiled and said, is this still an example? Do I need to continue to tell you why I reject you? No need to say, Jesse Page shouted with some emotions out of control. Don't be so excited. Adam glanced at her and said, I'm just reminding you that you can actively catch criminals, but don't get too involved. More importantly, don't let others get too involved. Think about the consequences for innocent people before you do anything. You don't have to go undercover, and you don't have to drive fast to stop the robbers. Jesse Page shook her head, took a deep breath, and looked at Adam. I just want you to teach me how to drive. Is that okay? No. Adam still shook his head. Why? Jesse Page couldn't accept this answer. Because the result of teaching you how to drive is that you go undercover. Adam smiled and said, if a beautiful woman like you goes undercover, the result is obvious. I'm not interested in training a female agent. Cosplay is another matter. Then change someone else. You can teach him how to drive, right? Jesse Page had an expression of forbearance. It still doesn't work. Adam shook his head. Why? Jesse Page said angrily. Your expression is too exaggerated. Adam reminded. Your acting skills are too immature. You are not the material for an undercover agent. You said so much just to settle for the second best. You know that it is impossible for me to help you. It is possible to teach you to drive, but you should also know that it is impossible for me to teach you to drive and then let you go undercover. So you probably prepared a newcomer with a talent for driving, and let me reject you once, twice, and 3 times, and I couldn't bear to reject you for the 4th time. Let me teach this talented newcomer to drive, and then send this new East Coast car god to the West Coast undercover. No one knows him, and his driving skills are so good. It is easy for him to mix into the speeding gang, am I right, Dot? Jesse Page looked helpless. You bastard are really good at everything, and your psychology is as perverted as the criminal psychological profiler in our bureau. This sigh is much more sincere. Adam laughed. I guess you won't help us train the newcomers' driving skills, right? Jesse Page looked at Adam. What did the criminal profiler in your bureau say? Adam asked curiously. They are not sure. Jesse Page was silent for a moment and said, I was going to refuse directly. Adam smiled and said, but this is the first time you asked me for help, so I have to give you this favor. Otherwise, you won't ask me to teach you to drive next time. And I am also very interested in this new guy. Bring him over for me to see. If I like him, I can teach him when I have time. If I don't like him, I can only apologize. Okay. Jesse Page automatically ignored Adam's teasing and agreed immediately. This matter must be kept secret. 2:30 in the morning. Adam said the time and place, and left with a smile. This time it was George's father, and he had to pay attention. Otherwise, the fat guy would be very fierce when he got angry. As for why he agreed to Jesse Page, it was mainly because he was very interested in this new guy. If the car robber gang in California and this new guy were all as he guessed, it would be interesting. Adam didn't mind spending some time to participate a little. Chapter 861. It's him, medical center. Dr. Duncan, the little man called from the entrance of the ward. Is there a problem? Adam came over. The ultrasound shows that Mr. O'Malley has an insufficiency of aortic valve, the little man said. Go call George and the others. Adam gave the order and walked into the ward to check the ultrasound detector himself. Dr. Duncan, is there a problem with my heart? George's father turned pale. Yes. Adam nodded and said, the ultrasound shows that your aortic valve is insufficiency. We need to do an artificial valve replacement surgery first, and then a tumor resection surgery. George's three brothers came one after another. Dad, don't worry. George immediately comforted him. Artificial valve replacement surgery is very simple, especially for Dr. Duncan. He has done too many such operations and has never failed. I know. George's father forced a smile and looked at Adam. I have heard George say that Dr. Duncan has a reputation as a miracle doctor. I believe you. Thank you. I will try my best. Adam smiled and said, artificial valve replacement surgery needs to be done tomorrow. Melendez, you are in charge of Mr. O'Malley. Call me immediately if there is anything. Yes, the little man agreed. Adam. George followed Adam out, looking tangled. My father's surgery? Any questions? Adam said gently. If you want to find some experts to join, I have no objection. After all, this is George's father. As a family member, George is understandable to think more. Adam will not blame him. No. George immediately shook his head. You even cured God's right hand. Who else can be better than you? I'm just worried about my dad. Bring your mom here as soon as possible. Adam shook his head and said, although I am very confident, you are also a doctor and you know that doctors are not God. Any surgery has risks. When you first came in, even your appendectomy almost went wrong. I told God's right hand and the director that I would do my best. The same goes for your dad and you. I will do my best, and the rest is not my responsibility. Do you understand? Yeah. George sighed helplessly. His doctor side knew this a long time ago and understood that he didn't need to say anything more. But as a family member, he still couldn't help but worry and wanted to get similar assurances from Adam to reassure him. It's a pity that Adam couldn't give him such words. The next day, 2:30 in the morning, Adam drove to an intersection, honked at a black SUV, and drove it to the empty road. Get in the car. Adam stopped at the roadside and said to a man and a woman who got out of the SUV, Jesse, you sit in the front passenger seat. Go faster. The woman was naturally Jesse Page. As for the man, it was him. That's him. After both of them got in the car, the sports car sped out with a roar, speeding like lightning, flowing like water, and drifting in various ways. Seeing this, Jesse Page held the handle tightly, frowning constantly, and trying to suppress the discomfort. Adam was concerned about whether her seat belt was fastened. Noticing her expression, he couldn't help but smile. Then his obsessive-compulsive disorder kicked in. After confirming that her seat belt was fastened again and again, he looked away and looked at the familiar newcomer in the rear-view mirror. He was excited about this kind of speeding. Adam showed off all kinds of tricks. Finally, he ended with a rapid side parking. "Do you want to learn?" Adam raised his eyebrows at the newcomer with shining eyes in the rear-view mirror. "Yes." The newcomer nodded repeatedly. He had just graduated and had not yet officially joined the FBI. He was very interested in this kind of drag racing and liked to try to practice his driving skills. His level was considered impressive in the eyes of ordinary people. That was why he was selected and prepared to improve his driving skills. Then, as a wanted criminal, he would go undercover in the drag racing gang to investigate and collect evidence. The FBI went through so much trouble to go from the East Coast to the West Coast, which shows how much people hate the drag racing gang in California. "If you want to learn, I can teach you." Adam smiled. "But I have a condition." "What condition?" Jesse had not completely recovered at this time, covering his chest and looking over. "Did you see the pocket in the back seat?" Adam smiled. "There are some materials and videos in it. Go back and take a good look. Then prepare yourself, and impress me with your feelings. If you are sincere and profound enough, I will teach you." "Okay." The newcomer took the bag and agreed immediately. "If you want to learn such a magical skill, it is reasonable to have some tests." "What are you waiting for?" Adam reminded. "Take it back and study it quickly. Time is precious. Learn it earlier and complete the task earlier." Oh, the newcomer got off the car with the bag. Just when he wanted to talk to his female boss, he heard a buzzing sound and the car had already left quickly with his female boss. Thinking of the beautiful face of his female boss, the newcomer shook his head helplessly. "Drive slower." "What are you showing him?" "In the car." Jesse didn't mean to get off, but just frowned and asked, "Don't worry." Adam slowed down a little and smiled. "There's nothing to make you uneasy. In fact, I'm helping you." Haha. Jesse laughed in a very familiar way to Adam. "Tell me, impress me. You told me before that you asked me to help you in order to prevent more truck drivers from being killed. This is your original intention, right?" Adam said. Yes. After hearing what Adam said, Jesse couldn't help but think of the words Adam refuted her before, and the tone was not righteous enough. "The materials and videotapes I gave him were all about the crimes of carjackers." Adam laughed, "and the nature of some criminal families, to help him deeply understand these crimes and see through the specious concepts that cover the surface of the crimes. He is a newcomer, and he is also a newcomer who is very interested in racing. I don't want to teach a new carjacker or a super criminal. O'Connor is not that kind of person." Jesse's face relaxed and he agreed with Adam's statement, but he still shook his head and said, "He was selected because he was screened." Haha. Adam couldn't help but laugh back. What do you mean?" Jesse paused. "Don't be too confident," Adam said with a half smile. "After I reminded you, do you still think you are so great? Don't be funny. Those criminal gangs with the concept of family, as long as the leader has a little personal charm, believe it or not, this kind of criminal family is more attractive than your high-end justice, especially for young people who like racing and passionate impulse. That California car robber gang can make such a big fuss. Do you think their leader has no strength? No charm? Didn't you see the look of O'Connor just now? Let such a newcomer go undercover in such a car gang. The probability of the newcomer being bewitched should not be too high. At that time, everything you do will become a complete joke." "What is this?" "Cultivate and supply talents for criminal gangs. Transport team leader." Jesse was speechless. It is not uncommon for undercover agents to become the top or second in command of criminal gangs and finally lead criminal gangs directly to fight against their own people. Those who can be sent undercover are all very powerful groups. And this also means money, power, beauty. Everything. With this, who still wants the original bicycle? P.S. Thanks to the book friend 20210414150629497 for the reward. Chapter 862. Flattery in the Operating Room. Medical Center. Ward, Melendez. Adam raised his chin. "Today we are going to perform an aortic valve replacement surgery on Mr. O'Malley. Using a pig valve to replace the aortic valve, we noticed that your heart rhythm is irregular, so it's best to do the surgery now. The little man introduced the condition slowly. Excuse me, have you checked the acid concentration of his digestive fluid? George hurried in from outside, took the case from the little man, and asked in a very annoying tone, his potassium level has dropped to the borderline this morning. Dr. O'Malley, have you performed an aortic valve replacement surgery? Adam said expressionlessly. No. George paused and argued, but this indicator will definitely affect the surgery, right? What impact will it have on the surgery? Adam asked back. Please explain in detail. George was speechless. He only had a vague understanding. How could he say it? Just looking at the various indicators and finding that the potassium content was somewhat on the borderline, he instinctively felt that there was a problem. Mr. George O'Malley, do you have any questions about my surgery? Adam changed his name and asked George, the family member. No, I'm just a little worried. George was a little embarrassed. Then what do you want us to do? Adam asked. You should know that aortic valve replacement surgery is not the key. Tumor resection is the key, right? We don't have much time to waste. Sorry, Dr. Duncan. George is too concerned. Please forgive him. George's father apologized quickly. It's my fault. Adam smiled and said, as his superior doctor, I didn't teach him well. He is irritable, not calm enough, lacks theoretical knowledge, and it seems that he is not working hard enough. Then spur him on. George's father smiled and said, we all know that Dr. Duncan is a very powerful doctor. George can learn from you. It's his blessing. He is not working hard enough. Just spur him on. I'll try my best. Adam shook his head and said, but theoretical knowledge is easy to learn, but this personality is hard to change. How far he can go in the future depends on him. George, the little fat man, usually looks like a warm man, like the best male best friend, and he has no temper even if he is squeezed by others. But when he really gets angry and gets irritated, it's really annoying. It's not that Adam can't explain patiently. Last time when Dr. Bailey's son got into trouble, Adam not only let Dr. Bailey into the operating room, but also patiently explained every step to Dr. Bailey while performing the operation. He can do this to Dr. Bailey during the operation, so it's no problem to patiently explain to George before the operation. But Adam can see that George's father has cancer, and George is full of anger. It seems that he cares too much about his father, so he loses his temper. But in fact, subconsciously, he is complaining that his father smokes and drinks, doesn't exercise, eats junk food, and doesn't take good care of himself, so that he has to run around and worry now. The reason why the anger is called nameless is that even George himself didn't realize it. This is also due to human nature of being afraid of trouble, but Adam is too lazy to indulge him. After scolding George, who wanted to lose his temper, Adam's thoughts were clear. He asked for George's father's consent, took the little guy and Carter into the operation room, and performed the aortic valve replacement operation. Operating room. Everything went smoothly. I'm going to suture the aortic incision. What's the next step? Adam was a qualified mentor while performing the operation. Insert an injection needle into the ascending aorta to remove the air, and then loosen the aortic valve clamp. The little man replied while acting as an assistant. If it weren't for George, the subsequent steps should have been done by you. Adam shook his head. No one wants interns to do surgery, including the interns themselves. The little man said leisurely. Except you, Dr. Duncan, of course. Carter laughed and said, when you were an intern, others also wanted you to do surgery for them. Not everyone wanted to. Adam laughed and said, there are always people who firmly believe that age is a treasure, and a great doctor should be in his prime. That's because Dr. Duncan, your skin is so good. You look like a student who just graduated from high school. Carter smiled and continued, besides, they don't understand what a genius is, because they themselves are not, and they have never seen a truly great genius. What can they do? The little man couldn't help but look at Carter. Carter glanced at the most understanding little nurse beside him, and saw full of satisfaction in her eyes. She smiled proudly at the little girl. So, Carter. Adam looked at Carter, who was becoming more and more silky, and said with a smile, in another week, it will be Halloween. As a rich family, do you have any different ways to play Halloween? Nothing special. Carter thought for a while, Just decorate the house, and it's not even as lively as ordinary families." "That's right," Adam teased. "Ordinary families have children knocking on the door to ask for candy, but families like you live in a big manor, and the surrounding large forests and lakes belong to you. It's difficult for other children to come to the door, and they get tired halfway. You can't ask adults to drive you just to ask for candy, right? So it's meaningless." Carter smiled. "I guess your parents may just show up and let you play by yourself, right?" Adam said playfully. "How do you know?" Carter asked in surprise. "Because they must have their own activities." Adam sighed. "Halloween is a great holiday. I like Halloween the most." He couldn't help but flash through the eye-opening scene in his mind. The old money people celebrate Halloween, which should be similar. "Actually, I prefer Christmas." Carter didn't bother with the teasing in Adam's words, and smiled. "Every Christmas, the bravest man in the Carter family will go into the woods, select a perfect Douglas fir tree, and cut down the tree with his strong Protestant hands as the Carter family Christmas tree. Let's guess, now this fine tradition has been passed on to your strong doctor's hands." Adam smiled. 5 years ago, I took over the acts," Carter said proudly. "Have you ever taken a girl to chop trees together?" Adam joked. "Some girls have a special complex for jobs like lumberjacks and chimney sweeps." Rachel, who was working at Ralph Lauren, sneezed heavily. Carter smiled but said nothing. Obviously, most girls would not be able to resist such a handsome and strong lumberjack, who cut down his own trees in his own vast forest and dragged them into his own manor. Beep. The monitor alarm sounded. The ascending aorta is dilated, and there is heavy bleeding around the aortic suture line. Blood pressure 68/42. Heart rate is falling. Do an ultrasound of the esophagus and heart immediately." Adam calmly ordered. "We need to control the bleeding and do a new bypass." "Melendez, have you ever done continuous diagonal suture?" "No." The little man shook his head. "But I know how to do it." "Then now you have the opportunity to connect theory with practice." Adam smiled. Under Carter's jealous eyes, Adam performed the operation while guiding the little man to do continuous diagonal suture. The little man is worthy of being the most favored by Adam among the four, although he has never done it before. But his hands are too steady, and he has rich theoretical knowledge. He knows exactly what to do at each step. Soon, the monitor alarm disappeared. The operation returned to normal. "Well done, Dr. Melendez." Adam praised the little man, then glanced at Carter and said with a smile, "See, this is the strongest hand." If Neil's last name was also Carter, then every Christmas, it would be Neil who would go into the woods to chop trees. Carter's mouth twitched. He had flattered so smoothly, but he was still not as good as the cool and taciturn little man. This made him understand Dr. Duncan's rule of the competent being promoted more deeply. However, he glanced at the little nurse who understood him the most, and secretly encouraged himself. Strength speaks for itself, but it doesn't mean that flattery will have no effect. Once his strength catches up with the little man, he will definitely be the one that Dr. Duncan values the most. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 863, Battle for the Holy Grail of Surgery. Medical Center. George's father's aortic valve replacement surgery was successful. George, who was born in the year of the dog, instantly changed from a state of agitation to the white doll he used to be. We need to observe for 2 days. If the situation is ideal, we can start the tumor resection. Adam introduced the situation to George's mother, who had already arrived. "Thank you, Dr. Duncan." George's mother was very grateful. Adam smiled and nodded, motioned the little man to continue to follow the bed, and walked out of the ward. As soon as he reached the corner, he was blocked by Christina. "Hand it over." Christina stretched out her hand to Adam to ask for it. "What?" Adam smiled. "Don't pretend." Christina's little eyes looked straight at Adam. "The Holy Grail of Surgery, that golden pager." "How did you know?" Adam asked curiously. "No one can deceive me." Christina smiled and said, "Surgery has such a good thing. How can I miss it?" "Did Dr. Burke tell you?" Adam said the key. It doesn't matter who said it. Christina was impatient and reached out to touch Adam. The important thing is that you shouldn't take it. This is the holy grail that we are fighting for. Stop. We are engaged. Don't touch each other. It will have a bad influence. Adam reached out and knocked Christina's dirty hands away. This is the holy grail that has been passed down in the surgery department of the medical center. It belongs to the holy grail of first-year residents. Am I not a first-year resident? You don't count. Christina didn't take the opportunity to take advantage. She put her hands on her hips and said, "You are so perverted. How can you be a first-year resident? No. How can you be a resident, so you can't occupy our holy grail? What are you talking about?" Meredith saw the movement here and came over. "Nothing." Christina turned her head away from her bestie. "She's talking about this." Adam took out a pink and shining pager from his pocket. "What is this?" Meredith asked in surprise. "Ask your bestie," Adam teased. Okay." Seeing this, Christina could only say helplessly, "This is the holy grail of surgery. It is given every year to the first-year resident with the best performance. Whoever can get it through the competition can choose to participate in any operation in the next 3 months, and no one else can refuse." "There is such a thing?" Meredith widened her eyes. "How could I not know?" "Of course you don't know," Christina said indignantly. "This was supposed to be our competition, but Dr. Bailey gave it directly to Adam. This is not fair." "You want to compete and snatch the holy grail from me?" Adam said playfully. "Are you sure?" "You can't participate." Christina shook her head and said, "Otherwise the surgical holy grail will lose its meaning. It is to reward us ordinary first-year residents." "Yes." Meredith saw Christina winking at her repeatedly, and she reacted and echoed, "This surgical chalice allows the winner to choose any surgery to participate in the next 3 months." "Adam, you have been the main surgeon for a long time. What do you want this surgical chalice for?" "It's an honor." Adam smiled and said, "Next year one plan to pass this chalice to Melendez and others. It can also be regarded as a kind of inheritance." "No," Christina and Meredith shouted in unison. "Then we are in the same class as you, which is a disadvantage," Christina said dissatisfiedly. "All the honors have been taken away by you, and we have no chance to compete." "Only disadvantaged?" Adam reminded. "Think about it carefully and reorganize your words." Christina paused. "They are in the same class as Adam, but they are indeed more fulfilled than others, and their level is much faster than others." "Adam, I'm getting married soon." Seeing that the hard way didn't work, Christina directly used the soft way, looking at Adam with expectation. "Just give this to me as a wedding gift, okay?" "I don't agree." Meredith objected. "You have to agree. This is the wedding gift I want you to give me." Christina glared at her bestie. "It's just a consent. I'm the bride and you're the bridesmaid. The bride is the most important." "Didn't you and Dr. Burke just get engaged?" Adam asked in surprise. "You're getting married right away. So soon?" "As long as you are willing to give me the holy grail, I will go to get the certificate today." Christina smiled. "Next year." Adam shook the surgical chalice in his hand. "Wait until Melendez and the others finish their internship. I will organize it. You two will compete together, and the winner will take over the honor." "No," Christina objected again. "Wouldn't it be a waste to let the surgical chalice wait for a year?" "You want us to compete with your interns. Okay, but we have to start now. Otherwise, with the resources they have with you, our points will definitely not be as good as theirs." "Yes," Meredith agreed. "Since you took the interns, our chance to follow you into the operating room has almost been cut off." When we think of George's smug expression, we get angry. "If we want to compete, let's compete now." "Okay." Looking at Christina and Meredith, who looked like Penny saying that virgin girls need to bask in the sun, Adam thought about it and nodded in agreement. "Yeah." Christina and Meredith both cheered. One felt that she would win, and the other felt that she had a chance too. "Do you think you are going to win?" Adam couldn't help laughing. "Don't be too happy yet." "Of course I'm going to win," Christina said confidently. "If I can't even beat your intern, then I might as well die." "The game is cancelled," Adam said seriously. "Someone put pressure on her from the sidelines and didn't let her win. She's going to die." "What's the point of holding this kind of game?" "I'm just making a metaphor," Christina complained. "When does it start?" Meredith was eager to try. Wait until George's father's surgery is over in 2 days. Adam thought for a moment. This way everyone will have the energy to participate. This game will last for 2 weeks. How do we score? Meredith asked curiously. This kind of competition has been going on for decades in the medical center, and there is a complete scoring system. Christina smiled. A simple suture operation gets 1 point, and then the score increases according to the complexity. 3 points for observing the operation, 10 points for an assistant, 30 points for the main surgeon, and the most exciting thing is solving difficult medical problems, which gets 80 points. This is a rough outline. There are detailed scoring standards for the specific operation and the degree of participation. It's very exciting. This is not fair. Meredith shook her head and said, we can't compare with Adam's intensity in performing surgeries. I'll lead 4 interns. Adam smiled. No matter how intense it is, they will all be evenly divided, and you all have your own department director and famous doctor boyfriend, and you are still a first-year resident. If you still want to complain about this, let's compete again next year. I won't lead them then. You are all residents, and you can compete fairly. No need. This is fair. Just compete this year, Christina shouted. Then it's settled. Adam joked. Take advantage of the next 2 days to balance your hormones, because when the competition starts, if you want to win, you really have to eat and sleep in the hospital, and your mind will be full of surgery. It's 2 whole weeks. Chapter 864, Practice Driving. Practice driving. The 4 children soon learned the news. Everyone was ready to participate in the battle for the Holy Grail of surgery. George even regarded this opportunity as a battle of revenge after failing the residency examination, and clamored to defeat Christina and Meredith in this competition to prove himself. The always cool little guy also had a bright look in his eyes and was eager to try. This kind of competition was just scratching his itch. For the Holy Grail, Carter aimed at the little guy. He remembered what Adam said in the operating room. He wanted to use this competition to prove that even if the little guy's last name was Carter, he would be the only one who could go into the woods and cut trees. Lexi was a little entangled. She wanted to defeat her sister and make her sister look at her in a new light. But she was afraid that if she defeated her sister would hate her. People with a pleasing personality are tired. Not long ago, her sister eased the relationship with her a little, fried eggs, and handed some to her. She was obviously allergic to eggs, but she still ate them in 1 bite, and even gave a thumbs up to the fried eggs that were hard to swallow. Afterwards, he ran to the hospital with red spots all over his face, looking for adrenaline everywhere. No one else can compare. Adam was also very interested in this competition, because he didn't think Christina would win. In front of her was Meredith, who might cheat, and behind her was the cool little guy. It would not be easy for Christina to win. Adam expected the little guy to slap Christina in the face. That would be fun. In the early morning, Adam received another call from Jesse Page and drove there. The new undercover Brian O'Connor was also waiting there. Show me a bit. Adam got straight to the point after getting out of the car. He didn't want to waste any more time on this. No matter how criminals cover up, they are still criminals. Brian began to speak about his experience. A charismatic leader of a criminal gang is like Jong Song in the East. He appears to be generous and righteous, known as Timely Rain. Wherever he goes, other criminals kneel down and call him brother, but he is only righteous on the surface. In the big criminal gang called Liang Shan, he secretly killed the former boss and became the new boss. Then everything revolved around him. He ignored the wishes of many gang members and used slogans and concepts to morally kidnap them just for his own selfishness. Others lived well, but just because he was attracted by their skills and property, he designed to destroy their families. But he used slogans and concepts to force this person to call him brother, become a member of the so-called Liang Shan criminal family, follow him to commit crimes, and work for him. In order to win over the new criminals, he was able to give the beautiful sister of the brother who used to follow him and was loyal to him to this bastard newcomer who was not worthy of her at all. In the end, these people were poisoned to death or killed because of his inexplicable idea. As for the so-called brotherhood and the criminal family, it is nothing more than interests. Their big money was robbed from ordinary people. The money was not earned by themselves, so they spent it lavishly. Of course they didn't feel bad, behind their light money and righteousness, there are the blood and tears of ordinary people. Adam listened to a foreigner talking about water margin incessantly, and the crime analysis version was really funny. When Jesse Page saw Adam like this, Adam's favorite dimples immediately appeared. Your criminal psychology analysis department is pretty awesome. Adam glanced at Jesse's dimples and couldn't help sighing. The bald Don in Fast and Furious may have really read water margin, so he thought of using the concept of the racing family to package and deceive people, to gather people's hearts and use them for his own benefit. Just like Song Gangming, the timely rain, when it comes to the interests of being a boss, it's time to sacrifice your family. After all, with him as the boss, the big family can be called a lumberjack. Otherwise, what's the point of lumberjack? Adam remembered that at the end of Fast and Furious, Bald Deckard killed Han, one of the core members of the speeding family, but later he just helped to save the son of Bald Dom, and then he was washed clean. Bald Dom personally confirmed it. The former family member Han who was killed, and the Wonder Woman who died for it, expressed their anger. Of course, as Bald Dom's head shape became more and more shiny, he was so awesome that he might bring the dead back to life with just a thought in order to save his reputation. However, in this world of daily American TV series and movies, I'm afraid there won't be such a showy operation. Dead is dead, and if you want to save your reputation, you can only kill all the insiders, and then gather a new group of criminals to restart the lumberjack. Although most of these feelings were helped by the criminal psychology analysis department of Jesse's bureau, Adam could see that the newcomer Brian was really touched. Adam felt strongly that with his wings, the world would be very different with speed and passion. How was it? Did he show you off? Did he impress you? Jesse Page looked at Adam with a pair of dimples and smiled. He did. Adam smiled and said, "Okay, you just want me to teach you how to drive. What's so difficult about that? Get in the car. I'll teach you." "Thank you." Brian thanked him. Adam got on the passenger seat. Jesse got on the back seat. "I'll drive now." Brian got on the driver's seat and was a little surprised. "What else?" Adam smiled and said, "Don't worry. I'll watch you." "Are you sure this is okay?" Jesse was a little worried. "No problem." Adam smiled and said, "Are there any skills for driving practice?" "Of course there are, but my method may not be suitable for Brian. I can only use a simpler method to train him." "What method did you use?" Brian was immediately a little unconvinced. "Let me ask you, what is the key technology of racing?" Adam asked. "Is it drifting?" Brian said uncertainly. "Yes." Adam nodded and said, "It's just drifting on the curves, or on a long straight road. Just step on the accelerator to the bottom, and see whose car has better performance." "What kind of racing skills are there?" "Only when there are enough curves and many sections that require deceleration and acceleration can a person's racing skills be reflected." Drifting is a classic technique for cornering. The smallest deceleration, the fastest cornering, and the most stable car can best reflect the skills. "So how do you do this?" "Most people have talent and practice, and master this technique through a lot of practice." "What about you?" Jesse couldn't help asking. "It's much simpler for me." Adam smiled and said, "The friction coefficient between the tire and the road, the speed, the braking force, the accelerator size, the angle of the front wheel, the weight distribution of the vehicle, the wheelbase, the hardness of the suspension, and so on are calculated comprehensively. I asked my friend to help me build a mathematical model, and you can just substitute it in directly. ... Are you kidding?" Jesse was speechless. "Yeah." Brian couldn't believe it either. The wheelbase, suspension hardness and so on can be determined in advance, but the friction coefficient of the tires is different on different roads and in different weather. There is also interference from other racing cars, which will cause the angle of the curve to change, whether there are people on the car, and the weight of the people on the car will affect the weight distribution of the car. There are many of these changes, and they are all random changes. Even if there is a mathematical model, how can you input these parameters into the computer in time while driving and get the answer, and then instantly adjust the optimal braking force, throttle size and front wheel angle? That's why I said my method may not be suitable for you. Adam smiled slightly. My mental arithmetic ability is okay. Brian, Jesse. Chapter 865, Anger boosts cowardice. Early morning, on the side of the road with no one around. How's your mental arithmetic? Adam looked at Brian, who was speechless. It's not difficult. You just need to calculate the random variables based on the feedback from the vehicle's condition. Then, you can substitute the current values of these random variables into the mathematical model and calculate the results in your mind in an instant. Then, you can slow down the least and make the fastest turns. Brian smiled bitterly. I think the average person's training method is more suitable for me. Is that so? Adam nodded. Most people really hate math. Then let's use the average person's training method. With a buzzing sound, the sports car sped away. Let's slow down first. Adam smiled and said, remember these feelings. Is this considered slow? Jesse shouted from behind. Haha. Adam couldn't help laughing. He sat in the passenger seat and instantly calculated the best cornering speed and drift angle in his mind. He instructed Brian to slow down to the best speed in advance, then pulled the handbrake, turned the steering wheel, and stepped on the accelerator. Once he noticed that Brian's movements were not up to standard, he would reach out and correct them in time. He had bullet time and great power, and he had the time and ability to change Brian's drifting movements in time. However, this resulted in that although Adam intentionally reduced the speed of cornering, in the eyes of ordinary people like Jesse Page, such a speed of cornering was simply a tycoon. Ouch! Under Adam's command, Brian, who was passionate about racing, completed a beautiful high-speed tail drift and shouted excitedly, "Come again." As you wish. Adam was eager to teach him as soon as possible. With the guidance of the god of cars, Brian, who was already very talented in racing, improved his skills visibly. Soon, he could make beautiful drifts one after another without Adam's command. After practicing for half the night, Adam returned to the hospital. In the next few days, Adam went to teach Brian how to drive every early morning. A car guide rose slowly in the hum of the sports car. The ward. Oh, clap. As soon as he came in, he saw that it was already crowded with people, and they were decorated with lights and colors. They blew paper bag trumpets and applauded and shouted at Adam and others who came in. It was very noisy. Everyone, be quiet. George's father, who was lying on the bed, waved with a smile on his face. Good morning, everyone. George's mother smiled at Adam and the others. Good morning. Adam smiled and said, George, you come and do the case report. George, great. The O'Malleys cheered. Harold O'Malley, 54 years old. After aortic valve replacement surgery, the chest X-ray this morning showed that there was no lung collapse in the 2-day physiological examination. Tumor resection is scheduled for 9 o'clock tomorrow. That's it. George made the report while suppressing his discomfort in the eyes of his relatives and friends. Yeah, the O'Malleys shouted again. Family members, can you go to the lounge to rest for a while and come back later? Adam asked. I will listen to Dr. Duncan. George's mother said, come back later. The O'Malleys walked out of the ward. The ward was instantly quiet. Mr. O'Malley, how do you feel? Adam smiled. Very good. George's mother continued. Thanks to you, Dr. Duncan. He said he has never felt so good. So we called everyone here, because we think he won't feel this good for a long time after today. Adam could only smile politely. After the operation, when will we have chemotherapy? George's father asked with concern. We have to wait until after the operation to decide the follow-up treatment plan based on the actual situation. Under Adam's gaze, the little man began to introduce. What do you mean? George's father was stunned. The results of the test and scan are limited, the little man explained, so we can only wait until after the operation to see the real situation in the body and judge the spread of the cancer. If the cancer spreads too badly, the operation will not be performed. What? George's father was stunned, because after the operation, your tissues cannot recover, which will cause multiple organ failure. The little man glanced at Adam and continued. So instead of continuing the operation, it is better to suture, so that you can be with your family. How long can I live without the operation? George's father asked. A few weeks, or a few months. The little man told the truth. No, George's father shouted. No matter what you see, I want you to remove the tumor. Dad, George couldn't help it. No, George's father shook his head and said, the O'Malley family are all fighters. I am a fighter. I know I can survive. I can do it." "Mr. O'Malley, are you sure?" Adam reminded. "Once the situation is not ideal, from a medical point of view, the most appropriate choice we make is to let you stay with your family for a while. If you insist, the biggest possibility is that you will lie in bed, plugged into a ventilator, and survive painfully with the help of drugs. At that time, it will be up to your family to decide whether to let you go. Human will can sometimes create miracles, but more often, we can only succumb to the laws of nature. There is still one day. I hope you can have a good discussion with your family, especially with George. If you insist, we will follow your will as a patient, but George may not agree. He may complain that we did not explain it clearly to you, making you, who are not clear about medicine, blindly optimistic and depriving them of the last time to spend with you. If George can't accept it at that time, and has any extreme behavior and excitement, then the impact will be very bad, and it will also be very bad for George's future. So I sincerely hope that you can make a unanimous decision." George's white and fat face instantly turned red. He wanted to refute, but he didn't know how to refute, because after a little thought, this is him. "I will, Dr. Duncan." George's father was determined at first, but when he saw his son's red face, and thought of his son's restlessness and anger at everyone before, he sighed. He understood what Adam said. George was like that when he learned that he had cancer. Once he secretly hid it from George, exercised the patient's right to choose freely, and asked the doctor to keep it confidential, agreed to George on the surface, but secretly asked the doctor to remove the tumor no matter how the situation worsened. Then his son might do something extreme. The world does not revolve around his son, and the hospital is not a place for his son to vent at will. Others will be more tolerant because his father just died, but this tolerance is also limited. It is impossible to tolerate any extreme behavior of George indefinitely. The O'Malley family, with so many people and so many years, has only produced a doctor. Now he is working under such a powerful doctor, and his future is bright. Of course, he couldn't just watch George ruin everything because of his secret decision and his inability to control his temper. Adam nodded to George's family and left. It wasn't that he was overthinking, but seeing that George's father was determined to remove the tumor regardless of the specific situation. Once he asked Adam to do this without telling George as a patient. Afterwards, even if George knew this was to protect the patient's privacy, with his personality, he would probably still lose control of his temper. Adam didn't want to be insulted in public by his subordinates, so he had to give up George. But doing so would make him more or less a bad guy. After all, George had just suffered such a big change. Therefore, it is the best choice to take precautions, directly point out the conflicts that are likely to occur later, and cut off the possibility of George's anger and cowardice. Chapter 866. The day after another confrontation with Dr. House. "Mr. O'Malley, are you sure?" Hearing George's father's decision, Adam glanced at George. "Sure." George's father nodded. "Dr. Duncan, please decide whether to continue the operation according to medical judgment." "Okay." Adam glanced at George's family and nodded in agreement. "As long as the family is informed and unanimous, it will be fine." The operation was carried out quickly. After George's father's esophagus was opened, Adam shook his head. "Melendez, Carter, did you see it? What should we do now?" "The cancer cells have spread. Now we need to check and palpate the abdominal cavity." Carter answered quickly. "What now?" Adam asked again. "The cancer cells have spread to the entire stomach, abdominal lymph nodes and liver, everywhere." Carter looked at the large gray area on the abdomen and replied, "The operation is no longer effective. We should terminate the operation and sew him up." "That's right." Adam nodded. Let Carter and the little man take a good look, taught some medical knowledge, and then sew George's father up himself. Out of the operating room. He didn't need to say anything. George's family waiting outside knew the result. The operation time was really too short. Adam said a few words of comfort and left, and then the phone rang. "Dr. House?" Adam looked at the number and shook his head. "Do you have a girlfriend who is a kindergarten teacher?" Dr. House's frivolous voice came from the other end of the phone. "I guess you do, or have had one. How does it feel? Can you handle it?" "Why are you asking this?" Adam mocked. "You don't understand even if I tell you. Apart from using your salary to donate to poor college girls to help you, a disabled person, do you dare to feel it with your heart? Dr. House, the voice of the beautiful Dr. Cameron came from the other end of the phone. Time is running out. We are asking Dr. Duncan for a consultation. Yeah. In Dr. House's office, Dr. House looked at the beautiful Dr. Cameron, who disturbed his mood with displeasure, and then smiled at the other end of the phone. Adam, I want to ask you for a favor. Is it serious? Adam was skeptical. Would the proud Dr. House ask him for a serious consultation? Of course it's serious. Dr. House pretended to be incredulous and exclaimed, "Oh my God, we are talking about the life of a young and beautiful female kindergarten teacher. Is there anything more serious than this? Go ahead." Although Adam felt that Dr. House was not serious, he also knew that this case must be true, so he did not refuse directly. The 3 ducks under my command are so useless. Dr. House glanced at the 3 elite doctors in front of him and smiled. After I clearly diagnosed the cause of the disease, they were unable to convince the patient, who had lost confidence and just wanted to go home and wait for death, to accept treatment. In fact, I don't care about this, because I believe that the medical problem has been solved by me, and after she dies, I can still verify it through autopsy. But Cameron, who is soft-hearted, thinks that you may have a way. I think so too. With your conditions, Adam, as long as you are willing to come forward, this disheartened female kindergarten teacher will definitely rekindle her desire for life. So please do me a favor and come over and persuade her to accept my treatment. Dr. Duncan, it's not like that. The beautiful Dr. Cameron finally couldn't help it and explained, "We hope to consult you if there are other ways." Not what Dr. House said. Am I wrong? Dr. House interrupted. Do you dare to say that my method has no feasibility? Seeing that the beautiful Dr. Cameron was at a loss for words, Dr. House made a face. Dr. Cameron, I thought that we doctors should do our best to treat patients and save lives, before there is no other way. Should we know that there is a way but not use it? The beautiful Dr. Cameron was speechless. I don't need to come forward to convince her. Adam smiled and said, I have another way. But you haven't heard the medical records yet. African-American Dr. Foreman couldn't accept it. No need for medical records. Adam smiled and said, you said she was a kindergarten teacher, right? Yes. African-American Dr. Foreman nodded. She has lost confidence. Adam smiled and said, you just want her to regain her confidence, right? This is too simple. I don't need to go there. Dr. House over there can handle it. He showed up, but it was useless. Dr. Wilson, a good friend, glanced at Dr. House, who was smiling. She used House's situation to ask back. Now for House, she is more than just a case. He respects her choice and lets her die with dignity. There is no such saying at all. Dr. House complained, life is like this. There is no dignity at all. You can only live with dignity, but not die with dignity. Really? Adam teased. In order to give the female kindergarten teacher dignity, did Dr. House act like a spoiled child and beg? What? Over there, Dr. House's 3 ducks and good friends were all stunned. The corners of Dr. House's mouth curled up slightly. She's a kindergarten teacher, isn't she? Adam said with a smile. She has no resistance to the children's pleading and begging. Let our house baby act cute and pitiful. I don't believe she won't give in. The 3 ducks and good friends of Dr. House looked at each other. Some lowered their heads, some covered their mouths, and they could hardly hold back. The scene was too beautiful. They dared not look at it. Ha ha, that's really funny. Dr. House laughed. But I'm more optimistic about your beauty trap. No way, Adam said exaggeratedly. I thought we doctors should do our best to treat diseases and save lives. When we know there is a way to act immediately, why should we go far away? Didn't she say that she doesn't have much time? I think we can give it a try. African-American Dr. Foreman suddenly said, she is a very outstanding kindergarten teacher. She has a very good relationship with the children and is very good at listening to the children's opinions. That's it. Hearing that Dr. House's men backstabbed Dr. House, Adam laughed even more happily. Dr. House is very talented in acting. I'm sure that as long as he wants, he can make a spoiled and stupid child come alive. Can an excellent kindergarten teacher who is good at listening ignore a child's request? Can you say in front of an innocent child that you want to give up your life, adding another shadow of death to the child's already fragile and gloomy heart? I don't think so. That's a 1.89-meter tall child. Interesting. Interesting. Dr. House looked at Blackie, who did not avoid looking him in the face, and listened to Adam's wanton ridicule, and the curve of his mouth was completely unable to be retracted. Ahem. Dr. House's good friend Dr. Wilson was helpless. He couldn't laugh, but he couldn't help but cough. Dr. Duncan, let's introduce you to some of the conditions. As for what treatment to use, we'll talk about it later. Chapter 867 Adam Tathagata vs. House Jade Emperor Medical Center. Go ahead. Adam heard what Dr. Wilson said and saw that Dr. House stopped talking. He realized that the other party had stopped talking and finally wanted to listen to his professional opinion, so he also stopped talking. Female, 29 years old, had her first epileptic seizure 2 months ago, lost her ability to speak, and could only mumble like a baby, with staged intellectual degeneration. She was initially diagnosed with a brain tumor, but the 3 common brain tumor protein markers were all negative. There was no family history, no environmental pathogenic factors, and no response to radiotherapy. Dr. Wilson, a good friend of Dr. House, described the patient's female kindergarten teacher in detail. He is a well-known oncologist. The female kindergarten teacher was admitted by him after being diagnosed with a brain tumor. After he found that he couldn't handle it, he lied to Dr. House that this was his cousin, and then let Dr. House see her. There was no way. Dr. House was indifferent to ordinary cases, and would rather have his 3 elite doctors do nothing than take over. With this time, watching soap medical dramas would be too delicious, but the cousin of his only good friend was still worth his effort. After House took over, he first diagnosed her with brain damage and prepared to do an MRI, but the patient had an epileptic seizure and was unable to continue. It was later discovered that she was allergic to the contrast agent of the MRI. Dr. Wilson continued, House later suspected that she had cerebral vasculitis and used steroids and large doses of prednisone. Haha. Adam couldn't help laughing when he heard this. What? Dr. House couldn't help but ask, do you have a better way? The MRI results and the neurological symptoms caused by intracranial pressure at that time were completely consistent with the symptoms of cerebral vasculitis. Wait, isn't she allergic to MRI contrast agents? Adam interrupted. Where are the MRI results? Slip of the tongue. It's the CORT scan results. Dr. House paused. She is not allergic to CORT contrast agents. Be rigorous, Dr. House. Adam teased. Originally, I didn't have much confidence in this case. After all, the unique diagnostic department and the unparalleled Dr. House cannot make a diagnosis. I can make a diagnosis, Dr. House retorted. It's just that she doesn't believe it. Then it still cannot be diagnosed. Adam corrected. Your final diagnosis is still a guess. Although you are very confident this time, you may still be wrong, right? So you who originally had no confidence, now you have the confidence to pick on me? Dr. House sneered. That's right. Adam smiled and said, with your level, you should be able to think of what I can think of. What's more amazing than me is that when there is no biopsy or other evidence pointing to your diagnosis, even if the cause of the disease you diagnosed is 1 in a million, you dare to use the medicine directly, and then judge whether your diagnosis is correct based on the patient's reaction. I may never be able to do this. That's because you are cowardly and boring. Dr. House complained. If I were you, I would definitely open a hospital of my own, treat any patient I want to treat, and use any method I can think of to treat them. It won't take long before this hospital will go bankrupt and you will be in jail. Adam smiled and said, in short, I will never be as good as you in this regard, but now you have used all kinds of extraordinary means to eliminate one possibility after another. So from your diagnosis and treatment process, I am confident that I can find something you overlooked. Just like you are so amazing, you can still make a mistake and say that the CORT results are MRI results. Show me off. Dr. House was caught with a small omission. Just like the Jade Emperor was blocked by Tathagata's words, you were beaten by a monkey, and could only speak unhappily. In short, if House's diagnosis is correct, the patient's condition will improve. If it is wrong, there will be new discoveries. Dr. Wilson continued. During the medication period, Dr. Foreman went to the kindergarten to investigate the outbreak and learned that there was a parrot in the kindergarten. He guessed it was psittacosis. No, Adam shook his head. If it was psittacosis, then the children in the kindergarten would have had a large-scale abnormal reaction that was discovered long ago. Since there is no such thing, it cannot be psittacosis. Tell you. On the other end of the phone, Dr. House smiled and shrugged at Dr. Foreman, who had a dark face. After taking the medicine, the patient's condition improved significantly, but then it took a sharp turn for the worse. First she became blind, and then she had an epileptic seizure. Dr. Wilson shook his head helplessly. We gave her a mental test, and she was sometimes better and sometimes worse. House decided not to give her any treatment, and to judge whether it was a brain tumor, an infection, or a blood vessel based on the severity of the disease. Adam understood. A brain tumor can last for 1 or 2 months, an infection can last for a few weeks, and a blood vessel can only last for a week. Dr. House was judging the cause by how quickly she died. It was very cruel, because if we do this, it is very likely that even if we know the cause, it will be too late to rescue her. Or if we rescue her, she will have already suffered a lot of irreversible serious damage, and her quality of life will be worrying. Dr. Foreman and Dr. Cameron went to the patient's home and checked the living environment. They did not find any abnormal pathogenic factors. Dr. Wilson continued, but they found ham, which exposed the patient's lie that she was my cousin. But it also gave House an idea. Cerebral cysticercosis. Adam suddenly realized, ham is made of pork, which contains pork tapeworms. If the cooking time is not enough, the tapeworm larvae will enter the digestive system and grow and reproduce parasitically. Most of the reproduced eggs will be excreted from the body, but there is a possibility that the eggs will penetrate the intestinal wall and enter the blood. Then they circulate throughout the body with the help of the blood. The eggs will secrete special substances to avoid detection by the human immune system, but once they die, they will be recognized by the human system and then attacked. Once the tapeworms living in the brain are attacked, they will cause a chain reaction and damage the brain. It causes various neurological diseases and reactions to steroid drugs. After the condition improves slightly, it will take a sharp turn for the worse. It really matches all the symptoms. Did you see it? Dr. House held out his hand to the 3 ducks and said, "That's why I've always wanted him." "It's still just a possibility," Dr. Black Foreman said, unconvinced. "Yes," Adam agreed. "It's still not 100% confirmed." "Now it's up to you." Dr. House smiled and said, "As long as I treat it, 2 tablets of albendazole after meals every day, it will be diagnosed soon and cured in a month. Either you pick on me and come up with another way, or you listen to me and use the beauty trap to save a life." Time is running out. I think the second one will be more effective. "That's it?" Adam said in surprise. "Dr. House, you're not kidding me, are you?" "It's already this time. You really can't think of a better way?" "You thought of it?" Dr. House was stunned. "Of course," Adam said exaggeratedly. "It is indeed impossible to confirm the diagnosis without medication and MRI. But since you're sure it is pork tapeworm, then a pork tapeworm can produce 20,000 to 30,000 eggs a day. It is impossible that there is only one in the brain, right? The density of pork tapeworm cells is similar to that of cerebrospinal fluid and cannot be detected through cord radiography. But since it is unlikely that there is only one, there must be some in other parts of the body. Worms like the leg muscles. Taking an X-ray of the thigh can easily confirm the diagnosis. I don't believe that the patient is unwilling to do even a non-invasive leg X-ray." Dr. House. Chapter 868. Halloween has come to Dr. House's office again. "What are you waiting for?" House was shown off by Adam. Looking at the 3 ducks who were looking at him, he said unhappily, "The great Dr. Duncan has given instructions. Why don't you execute them right away?" The beautiful Dr. Cameron led the way, and the 3 of them left the office together. "See?" Dr. House smiled at the other end of the phone. "We are the best team. You should come over. It will be fun then." "Goodbye, Dr. House." Adam chuckled and hung up the phone. Dr. House doesn't know such a simple method. Obviously not. Is Adam better than him? Definitely not yet. Dr. House's thinking was just solidified for a while Adam was a bystander. Adam believed that even without him, Dr. House would probably solve his doubts because of some careless words. Just like Dr. Black Foreman used the ham incident to expose Dr. Wilson's lies, but it gave Dr. House inspiration and made him think of pork tapeworms. The three ducks are all genius doctors in their respective fields. Dr. House hired them just for these casual words that solved his doubts. Late at night, Adam talked to Juno on the phone as usual before going to bed. House was shown off by me. Haha. Adam told Juno about his show-off in front of House today. It's incredible. Juno sighed. I still remember that 8 years ago. In order to familiarize ourselves with the surgery in advance, we bought a cabin in the woods and did hunting and dissection. At that time, you deliberately flattered Rachel's father in order to get more opportunities. 8 years have passed. Not only did you help Dr. Green perform heart surgery, but you also showed off in front of the legendary Dr. House, whom Dr. Green had to look up to. Don't forget that I followed the legendary Gray and discussed medicine every night. Adam reminded proudly. I also saved God's right hand with the main surgeon when other famous doctors dared not take over. Adam's hand is now well known in the medical community. I witnessed the rise of a legend with my own eyes. Juno laughed. One day in the future, if we go bankrupt and have no money, maybe we can write a book to make a fortune. That day will never come, Adam said confidently. That's right. Juno thought of Adam's arrangements and laughed. A lean camel is bigger than a horse. A truly rich person, as long as he is determined, will not be so poor that he has no money to spend even if he goes bankrupt countless times. Hiding a little spare money anywhere is enough for ordinary people to struggle for a lifetime. The steady Adam has arranged so many backup plans that he can't count them on one hand. The day after tomorrow is Halloween. Do you have any plans? Juno asked. We should stay in the hospital. Adam hesitated and said, after all, you know that on Halloween, there must be a lot of idiots who get injured in various strange ways. What are your plans? Okay, I know you don't like holidays the most, Juno teased. You don't have to worry about us. Karen and I will fly to Texas with Heather to accompany Tatiana for her first Halloween. Haha. Adam laughed awkwardly. Is that so? Say hello to Tatiana and me. With so many good friends, it's a bit of a headache when it comes to holidays. It's troublesome to decide who to accompany and who not to accompany. I will. Juno smiled and said, I think Tatiana will have a very interesting Halloween. You don't want to? Adam was shocked. Don't worry, Juno smiled and said, we will arrange it. But how do you plan to spend it? I think I will accompany Peggy. Adam pondered. Which Peggy? Juno smiled and said, the Marvel DC brawl last year is still vivid in my mind. The Peggy I know is not suitable for that kind of scene. Hee. Adam smiled. I see. Juno understood. This time, the FBI is really going to open the door, right? Let's talk about it later. Adam smiled and said, if there are a lot of things in the hospital, we don't have to think about these things. These things? Juno said playfully. You don't want to provoke infighting between the two major law enforcement departments in New York? What an evil mind. You are getting more and more exaggerated. I am not that kind of person, Adam said righteously. Hee. Juno laughed at this. The two joked a few more times and hung up the phone. Halloween came quickly. Although Adam didn't like most holidays, Halloween was an exception. First of all, it wasn't a must-celebrate holiday, and there wouldn't be a holiday. It was optional. Adam could naturally be busy treating patients and saving lives in the hospital, and he didn't celebrate it by default. But after a busy day at work, when he went home at night and met some strange people and strange things, it was also a surprise. Shurenju said, Halloween is here, and it's the season for everything to cosplay. In the morning, Adam took the 4 children to make rounds. Dr. Duncan, what do you think? The patient's daughter, Irene, turned around at Adam who came in. Mickey Mouse, very cool. Adam took a look and praised. Thank you. Irene looked at Adam with a smile. Dr. Duncan, don't you doctors celebrate Halloween? No time. Adam understood what she meant, but because of reproductive isolation, he could only decline. We need to take care of your father and other patients. Oh, that's a pity. Irene shook her body. and the little tail behind her swayed. Carter's eyes lit up. Aaron, the patient, couldn't bear to watch and reminded him helplessly, "You have to go to work. You're going to be late. Your students can't wait to see you dressed up like this." Yeah. Aaron raised her hand to check the time and said regretfully, "I have to go. I will come to see you after get off work." "My dad, Dr. Duncan. See you then." Adam smiled non-committally. Carter. Adam looked at Carter, whose eyes were following a swaying tail, and narrowed his eyes. "Tell me about the condition." Oh. Carter was stunned, and in the eyes of everyone, he was embarrassed for a while before he began to get into the state. Obviously, he is a Disney fan. "The rounds are over. Adam is going to the emergency room. The emergency room will be very busy today, and all kinds of strange people will appear." Knock, knock. As Adam went downstairs, he was blocked by a child. The child looked at Adam with a smile and said, "I'll play tricks if you don't give me ears." What? Adam didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He looked at him and realized what he meant when he saw that he was wearing a hearing aid and his ears were obviously deformed. "Child, you should go to Dr. Sloan," Adam reminded. "Where are your parents?" "My mother works in a restaurant," the child said clearly. "Her job can't afford my surgery. I need charity surgery. The nurses all hate Dr. Sloan. If I go directly to him, he can't help me even if he wants to." After all, an operation involves an operating room, a surgeon, an assistant doctor, anesthesiologists, and nurses. "Dr. Duncan is the only one in the hospital who can help me. Just treat it as a Halloween present for a poor child, okay?" I walked over, and at least 3 people regarded this as my Halloween costume. "You have done a lot of homework." Adam looked at him. "Was it specially waiting for today?" "Yes," the child smiled knowingly. "No one likes people who come to the door for help for no reason, even children. The probability of being rejected on this day is the lowest. Even if it is rejected, it will not be annoying and affect my mother's work." "You are really a little smart ghost." Adam laughed dumbly. "Okay, I can help you, but you have to do me a favor first." "No problem." The child smiled happily. Adam took him to find Mark Sloan. "Dr. Sloan, there's a kid looking for you." Adam found Mark and reminded him. "What?" Mark was stunned. "Dad." The child walked out from behind Adam, looked at Mark with shining eyes, and called affectionately. "What?" Mark was stunned, his head buzzing, and countless blurry figures flashed by in an instant. Chapter 869, Saul Medical Center. Under the affectionate gaze of the little boy, Mark's brain was on the verge of crashing. It was nothing. It was just infinite possibilities. It was not like he couldn't have children. Insurance measures were vulnerable in the face of big data. There had been cases before. And the little boy's expression was also rich and fascinating. At this moment, he did not doubt the authenticity of this matter. It was not until he saw the little boy's face change instantly and looked at Adam with a smile that he realized that it might be a prank. "Ah, this." Mark let out a long sigh and looked at Adam helplessly. "Happy Halloween. Trick or treat if you don't give me ears." Adam smiled and said, "The internal organs of hearing are intact, but they can't communicate with external organs. I will coordinate with the director for the operating room. I will find nurses and anesthesiologists for you. I will let O'Malley go as the first assistant. Dr. Sloan, for those little Sloans who will really appear one day, can you help this little boy with a free operation today?" This little brat. Mark looked at the little boy who was now looking forward to it. Seeing that Adam had said this, he naturally would not refuse. "Okay, I will do this charity operation." "Thank you, Dr. Sloan, thank you." The little boy was overjoyed and thanked him repeatedly. "Live by the mountain, eat by the mountain, live by the water, eat by the water." He is the son of a restaurant staff. If it weren't for the fact that the restaurant was in the hospital, he had a plan in mind, was eloquent, and good at impressing others. This kind of good thing that can change his life with an operation. I am afraid it will be delayed until the end of time. He is still young now. When he is a little older and goes to middle school, with the deformed appearance of his ears, it is certain that he will be discriminated against. For 7 years in middle school, it was always like this. It was either another Leonard or another serial killer. With the high emotional intelligence shown by the little boy now, It was most likely the latter. With the beautiful hope of eliminating the bad logic conventions in the American TV world, Adam, who did good deeds every day, took the little boy to knock on the door of the chief surgeon. The knock, knock, trick or treat turned into knock, knock, trick or treat if you don't give me ears. The chief surgeon smiled and arranged it without saying anything. The little boy was very accurate. If Adam hadn't spoken, the chief surgeon would only say that the arrangements for charity surgeries were full and there were no vacant operating rooms. Hospitals need to make money, and charity surgeries are free, just for the reputation of the hospital. So the intention was over, and the less the better. But now that Adam has shown this mercy and spoken, the whole hospital will naturally be filled with love. After dealing with the most critical surgeon and operating room, Adam called George and the most understanding nurse and asked them to take the little boy to deal with the surgery. It was naturally impossible for Adam to do such a small operation himself. Adam went to the emergency room. According to holiday traditions, the most show today should be the emergency room. This is the most perverted pumpkin head I have ever sawed. You all saw it next. Blood splattered everywhere, all over my pumpkin head, but this is even more perverted. As soon as I arrived, I heard a little fat man talking excitedly, saying perverted, but his face was full of excitement. Stop talking, your face is splashed more. Lexi frowned while helping the little fat man deal with the broken index finger. Welcome to the Halloween scene at the medical center. Carter was standing beside him, holding his hands and smiling. Although he was also an intern, he had been a medical intern at the medical center, so he had naturally seen how lively and weird Halloween was in the hospital. Don't you have anything to do? Adam walked over and interrupted her show off. Where is the patient's broken finger, Dr. Duncan? Carter quickly put down his hands and smiled. The broken finger is with the patient. I'll go clean it up right away. It's stuck in the electric saw. The little fat man with a broken index finger didn't care and smiled to himself. It's not that the little fat guy is really awesome or abnormal, but he has been given morphine, temporarily away from the pain, and has also been blessed with the buff of excitement, which makes him look a little abnormal. Wait, where is my chainsaw? It was just next to me. The little fat guy looked sideways, his face suddenly changed, looking left and right and shouting, "Hey, who took my chainsaw?" "Carter," Adam called. "Go find it immediately." Carter was startled, agreed, and immediately ran. Buzz buzz buzz. At this moment, the sound of a chainsaw being pulled echoed in the emergency room. Damn it! Adam's face changed, and he ran quickly in the direction where the sound came from. Now that there are security inspection devices, it is already very difficult for ordinary people to carry guns, ammunition and various dangerous items into the hospital. But it is not absolutely safe, because the emergency room is a weak link in security inspection. After all, the ambulances bring in critically ill patients who need immediate emergency treatment. A delay of 1 second may mean the difference between life and death. You can't let people go through the security inspection channel in this situation. You can only send them in first, and then talk about other things. The sound Adam heard now was clearly the sound of a chainsaw, which should be the one that the fat boy used to chop pumpkin heads for fun during the holidays. But in the hospital, the power of a chainsaw is not much weaker than that of a gun. Adam rushed over, seeing Christina leading people to the ward where the chainsaw came from. He immediately stopped them and said, "Christina, stop." Christina was stunned, and then she remembered something and stopped her intern and walked out. At this time, Adam had passed them. Seeing that the premonition of danger did not warn, he gave Christina a look and walked in alone. This is a double room. There was no one in the bed near the door, and the curtain of the bed near the inner room was pulled up, covering the situation inside. The sound of the chainsaw sawing something came from inside. Christina and Carter hid outside the door, followed Adam's steps, and looked inside nervously. Although there was no warning, Adam still took the initiative to enter the bullet time, made full preparations, and stretched out his hand to pull the curtain. A burst of red splashed. Adam flashed to the side. Holy shit. Oh my god. Christina and the others who were looking out the door finally saw what was happening inside while Adam was avoiding them. They were all stunned. There was only one person in the inner room, an African American. He was sitting on the bed with his legs on it, holding an electric saw and sawing with a grin. Those who didn't know would think he was taking bloody revenge on his enemies. But when they looked closely, they saw his right calf, facing the gazes of the crowd. He didn't mind at all and just kept sawing. Under the power of the electric saw, how long can a person's bones last? Good guy. I'm calling him good guy. So perverted. The fat man with a broken finger ran over despite Lexi's obstruction. Seeing this scene, he couldn't help but exclaimed in surprise. Christina had a strange look in her eyes. Lexi couldn't bear to look at it. Welcome to the Halloween scene at the medical center. Adam smiled at Carter, who was dumbfounded. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 870 Coward Adam, Medical Center. Adam saw that Mr. Chainsaw had no intention of hurting anyone, so after he put down the chainsaw, he took the chainsaw and handed it to the security guard who came over, and then began to check the wound. Carter, the tibial nerve is severed. There is nothing that can be saved, and the only option is amputation. Carter stepped forward in a daze, looked at the tragic wound, and said, "Thank you. Thank you very much." The middle-aged African man lying there raised his eyebrows at Carter, and a comfortable smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Carter's mouth twitched. What the hell is this person? This is my patient. Christina finally reacted, stepped forward and said to the patient, "What's wrong with you?" "I said I want amputation." The African man laughed. "If you don't help me, I can only do it myself." "But you have a good leg," Christina speechlessly said. "You are crazy." "That's your opinion," the African man said very philosophically. "It seems that it is destined that one's body will not obey it. It is a manifestation of madness to walk through life with weak legs." "Are you taking drugs?" Adam asked. "No." Christina shook her head. "I just gave him some morphine to relieve the pain. The previous toxicology test was negative. Call Dr. Tullis." Adam took a look at his broken calf. "By the way, call a psychiatrist upstairs." "I'm not crazy." The African man shook his head and said, "I work in a bank." "Many crazy people say that," Christina complained. "Did your bank go bankrupt? Or were you fired?" "You did this because you couldn't think straight?" "It can't be that you lost money in the stock market. If you can lose money in this bull market, then you are still crazy." Adam's heart moved, and he looked around. Seeing everyone smile knowingly, he shook his head secretly in his heart. It was almost the year 2000. The mirror table he wiped diligently was brighter again. In addition, the stock market has been rising during this period, and the bull market was booming. In his previous life, Adam didn't know how to trade stocks, but he also remembered this feeling. When everyone was talking about the stock market and wanted to enter the market to make a fortune, it was time to cook leeks and pork ribs. Leeks were broken, therefore. The fragmentary memories of the internet bubble in 2000 also came to mind. Although I didn't know about it in detail because I was not a stock investor in my previous life, I only had scattered information. This is the world of American TV dramas and movies, and the timeline has changed. But when others are greedy, he is afraid, which is always right. So, during this period, Adam asked his assistant Ada to slowly clear the warehouse. It would definitely be a bit of a loss to run away at this time. After all, it is not the highest point. But I am not a professional in this. I really want to learn from those predecessors who travel through time and space, buying at the lowest point and selling at the highest point, without a specially customized golden finger magic. Such a large volume is there. Most of the time will not be able to escape. It is better to stop while you are ahead. After the stock market crash, squeeze out the bubble, and Adam can go in again without deliberately waiting for the lowest point. Then wait until 2008 before going out, and then go in again after that. With the size of Adam's funds, as long as he follows the overall situation, he can get happiness that countless people have never had in their entire lives. The doctors, leaks, and students, vegetables, who are smiling knowingly will probably be driven crazy by this kind of in and out. Some are happy, but countless are crazy. This is the reasonable and legal rule in the world of American TV series. But human nature cannot be tested. Adam will not talk about these things with them. If he runs away now, and the stock market continues to rise in the next few months, Adam will inevitably be complained by them, because they feel that they can run at the highest point. If he doesn't run away now, and finally gets stuck and can't run away, they will blame Adam for knowing the situation but not resolutely pulling them to run, causing them to suffer heavy losses. Even if he doesn't say anything, if he doesn't keep a low profile, it will also cause resentment when people expose how much money he made in the stock market crash, because that money was contributed by these leaks. It's simply not pleasing to anyone. Adam's investment company is also the routine of old capitalists, with various overseas vests, and they are used one after another. Professionals who go to check specifically, without sufficient resources and enough time, are also confused. Taxes in the American TV world are so complicated that most people need to hire a professional accountant to pay taxes. Isn't it just to cut the leaks of ordinary people who are not good at math? And it provides space for big capitalists like Adam to dodge and evade taxes. Lao Tzu said, "When laws are proliferating, there will be many thieves." In the American TV world, the more and more complicated tax laws are, the more thieves there are at the level of stealing the country. Fortunately, the leaks also have the awareness of leaks. The greedy people who invest all their wealth and even mortgage their assets to play are a minority after all. Even if these colleagues are trapped, they will not be hurt. Of course, after the bubble occurred, Adam needed to pay more attention during that period of time, so as to avoid colleagues being distracted and causing medical accidents that should not happen to patients. These distracting thoughts flashed through Adam's mind. Looking at the grinning African middle-aged man, Adam took Carter away. Outside the emergency room, another ambulance roared in. "What's going on?" Irene Zealy, 26 years old, severe brain trauma, brick hit the windshield, level 3 coma, the paramedic said quickly. Carter was stunned, ran over to take a look, and saw a blurry face, a little black on the tip of the nose, and 3 whiskers on each side. Who else could it be but Irene, who dressed up as Mickey Mouse in the morning and gently wagged her tail? "I saw her brain tissue. How could she be hit by a brick?" Carter shouted. "Halloween nightmare. A child standing on the overpass and making trouble," the paramedic complained. "By the way, she is an organ donor. She can still be saved." Carter understood the paramedic's subtext and couldn't help shouting, "Hey, I've said everything I should say, the rest is your job." The paramedic raised his hand and left. "Don't get excited there. Book an operating room. Call Dr. Shept," Adam shouted while rescuing her. Unfortunately, the injury was too serious, and she didn't have the immortal physique of Mickey Mouse, so she was eventually declared brain dead. After leaving the operating room, Adam started calling his family, and then his good friends, repeatedly reminding them to be careful. Stay away from naughty kids during Halloween. This made his relatives and friends laugh and cry. This is not the first time. Every time he encounters such a weird accidental death case, Adam will do the same. Jushiran said, "The older you are, the less courageous you are." The more accidents Adam saw in the hospital, the less courageous he became. Even though he knew that the probability of these accidents being encountered by relatives and friends was very low, he still couldn't help but remind them again and again, just like this Irene. If she had received similar repeated reminders while driving, she would have subconsciously paid extra attention when she saw children playing on the overpass from a distance, or simply took a detour. Most likely, there would be no such accident. Therefore, even if the heartless third child Gabby mocked him for being timid and nagging, he would not be tired of it. Chapter 871. This is a hard task. Medical Center. Ward. "Mr. Ali, I'm so sorry." Adam told Irene's father about this thunderbolt. No, Mr. Ali couldn't accept this result. He screamed and covered his chest. The monitor alarm sounded loudly. Blue alarm. Adam immediately stepped forward to rescue him. The other party was originally a heart patient. He was hospitalized in the hospital waiting for a heart attack. Now he was so stimulated that he had a seizure. Fortunately, Adam was by his side. He was busy and successfully rescued him. "I can't understand how this happened." After being rescued and opening his eyes, Mr. Ali was at a loss for a long time before mumbling, "This is an accident." Although Adam wanted to say that it was the naughty kids who caused it, he said a cliché. There is no way. Excessive description of details will only make people uncomfortable, especially in the case of Mr. Ali, who can't stand stimulation. And even if he said it, Mr. Ali had no other way except to complain and aggravate his condition. He was powerless against those naughty kids who had run away long ago. He didn't dare to complain to God. The NIPD probably won't investigate, and even if they find out, what can they do if they catch those naughty kids who are only about 10 years old? They will only be more angry and more painful about the final result. It's true, death is random, life is worthless. Even Adam shudders when he thinks about it. This kind of thing usually happens very quickly. Lexi couldn't help but say, she may not feel any pain. Mr. Ali didn't want to talk at all except for tears in the corners of his eyes. Adam sighed in his heart. In Irene's case, her brain was really beaten out by the naughty kids. When she was sent here, she was in a severe coma of level 3, and she really couldn't feel any pain. But when the incident happened, before waiting for the ambulance to arrive, no one dared to say that Irene didn't experience pain. Mr. Ali, Adam considered again and again, and said in a controlled tone, Irene's driver's license shows that she is an organ donor. As a direct relative, if you agree to stop her life support system, the heart can be transplanted directly to you. Mr. Ali was stunned, and looked at Adam as if he was looking at a devil. Please go away, okay? It can be seen that Mr. Ali is very well-mannered. Even if he really can't accept Adam's proposal, his words are very civilized and his tone is pleading. Okay. Adam looked at the grieving old man, nodded and said, if you want, Dr. Gray will take you to see your daughter. After saying that, he glanced at Lexi and walked out of the ward. Irene is now in a state of brain death, but her body is still very healthy, and there is no problem in maintaining it for the time being. Mr. Ali can't accept this proposal for the time being because he is too sad. Giving him time at this time is the best choice. Lexi waited for Mr. Ali to calm down, and then pushed him to Irene's ward. She still has body temperature. This doesn't make sense. Mr. Ali held his daughter's hand, stroked her forehead, and said painfully, I'm sorry, she relies on a ventilator to survive. Lexi said softly, the Irene you know is no longer here. Mr. Ali tried his best to control his emotions, just looking at his daughter, talking about the warm and interesting stories between father and daughter since childhood, trying to wake up his daughter. But when Adam saved 3 strange critically ill patients and came to check on them during his free time, Irene, who was lying on the bed, did not wake up miraculously as shown in the TV series. If he was not 100% sure that Irene was indeed brain dead, Adam would not have rashly made that suggestion. Take the documents. Mr. Ali finally gave up, holding his daughter Irene's hand, pressing his forehead, and said with difficulty, okay. Lexi agreed quickly. You can donate your organs. Mr. Ali looked up and looked at Adam with red eyes. This is her wish. What about her heart? Lexi glanced at Adam and took the initiative to speak. Give it to someone else. Mr. Ali looked at Adam and Lexi woodenly. Adam looked at him deeply, motioned Lexi to let him sign, and left the ward without saying anything more. Dr. Duncan, let's try to persuade Mr. Ali again. Lexi followed out and suggested, perhaps it would be more effective to let Dr. O'Malley persuade him. After all, emotions are universal. Dr. O'Malley's father doesn't have much time left. No need. Mr. Ali has made his choice. Adam shook his head and said, we just need to respect him. He could persuade him by saying that if Irene were still alive, she would definitely want to use her heart to save her father. For George O'Malley, true feelings are indeed more convincing, but survivors still feel guilty. Not to mention a father who loves his daughter deeply. Letting him accept the heart of his daughter who should be young and happy will bring him unimaginable guilt for the rest of his life, even if he is persuaded now. But in the days after the operation, facing the desolate knees and no longer being able to hear his daughter's laughter, Mr. Ali is likely to regret this choice, unable to sleep and eat, and extremely painful. Why bother? Besides, Mr. Ali was at the top of the transplant list, and he was hospitalized just to wait for the heart that could come at any time. In this case, since Mr. Ali was unwilling, Adam would not persuade him. Let Irene's heart save others, and let others' hearts save Mr. Ali. This is the best choice. Throughout Halloween, all kinds of strange cases came. The evil deeds of the naughty children were not limited to Irene. A homeless man fell asleep in the park after eating and drinking. A group of naughty children saw him and poured gasoline on him, thinking that it would be fun to burn my body with the blazing holy fire, causing a large area of third-degree burns on the homeless man's chest. Fortunately, the homeless man had a dog. Seeing this, he found that he could not deal with this group of ferocious naughty children with weapons in their hands, so he ran directly to the patrolman, kept calling and urging the patrolman to come over. Only then did he scare away the group of naughty children and save the homeless man who was almost burned to death. Of course, it is also indispensable that the child who grew up in the city center was playing the traditional Halloween game of trick or treat with his father and was hit by the vehicle that caused the accident and was seriously injured. Adam was busy until more than 1 o'clock in the morning. When Halloween was over, the exciting knocking game that was originally planned was unfortunately cancelled. Adam returned to the apartment. He was not a peaceful person, and he felt a little upset, especially after accumulating so many negative emotions today. He didn't want to disturb Peggy, so he called Black Widow. This infinite nesting doll game of Mission Impossible still needs to continue. Sandra, who had been lazy for a long time, couldn't help but explore Adam's secrets now. This is a mandatory task. It must be completed. Chapter 872, The Third Case of Clinical Research. The day after Halloween. Praise Howard. Adam muttered about the robot genius in the morning. The negative energy accumulated by the naughty child yesterday was swept away, and the whole person was full of energy. Violent. What's wrong? When he arrived at the medical center, Adam saw the most understanding nurse walking towards him depressedly, and asked with concern, "Dr. Duncan, I can't enter your operating room today." The most understanding nurse apologized. "Maybe I can't enter your operating room in the future." What happened? Adam was surprised. "It's my own problem," the most understanding nurse said depressedly. "Two things happened in a row yesterday, which made me not want to be a nurse anymore." "Tell me about it," Adam asked. "Dr. Duncan, you may not know that my mother is also a nurse." The most understanding young nurse did not mean to hide anything and said directly, "But she has worked in the county hospital for decades. In another year, she will be able to retire with the highest pension." But the management of the county hospital suddenly transferred her from the position she had worked for decades to the emergency room, which she was not familiar with at all. As a result, she made mistakes again and almost killed a child who was receiving emergency treatment. The head nurse of the emergency room wanted to report her, but she did not want to be sent to the review committee to be humiliated, so she resigned directly. It was completely in line with the wishes of the county hospital management. Not only did she not get the highest level of pension, she could not get any pension at all. "Is that so?" Adam frowned. Although medical staff are lifelong learning professions, but it is a natural law that people's ability to learn new knowledge decreases as they age. When people are about to retire, they are transferred to the emergency room with very high work pressure. Not to mention that the knowledge required for emergency treatment is broader. It also takes time to change various habits such as placing instruments and medicines. In this process, mistakes will occur if you are not careful. If a mistake is made, the hospital management can reasonably get rid of the nurses who have worked diligently for a lifetime without violating the contract, and the highest level of pension that could have been obtained. This method is really too insidious and vicious. It is clearly another typical example of the proliferation of laws and thieves. The more detailed the contract terms are, the more tricks they can play in the hands of professional lawyers. But they are all legal. Under the legal framework, how can an individual outsmart the management? The so-called contract and the spirit of contract are nothing when it comes to the line of confrontation. "Dr. Duncan, I'm not asking you to help my mother," the most understanding little nurse hurriedly explained. "This is not just my mother. There are some old nurses in their hospital who will be in office in a year, and they have all begun to be transferred. I checked and found that many other areas are also like this. This is a systemic problem." "Didn't your mother and others launch a strike to protest?" Adam asked curiously. "It's useless," the most understanding young nurse said with a chill in her heart. Not every nurse can work diligently for a lifetime like my mother, without any mistakes, and get the highest level of pension. Therefore, many nurses are indifferent to this, and even cynical. Moreover, small hospitals like county hospitals don't care much about the threat of strikes that are destined to be small. They hire temporary nurses to support most nurses until they can't hold on. When you really understand the darkness behind this, it's really chilling. What about the second thing? Adam sighed in his heart, skipping the system problem that he was unable to solve, and asked, divide and disintegrate. This is also a traditional skill. Aim at a label and kill one first, then label them one by one, so that the nurses are not united internally, and they fight internally, and they can easily achieve their goals at the lowest cost. With the magic weapon of consumerism, most people spend all their money every month and have no savings. If they delay a little, those nurses who pay for housing and cars and live at home will have to compromise. Obviously, what the understanding nurse cares about most is not just her mother's experience, but the deep disappointment in the entire system. So Adam can't help much. Energy, finance, medical care, and arms. 4 big mountains. Whoever touches them will die. The second thing is that when I went home to accompany my mother, I met my high school chemistry teacher, who fell on the side of the road due to illness. I rescued him in time and he held on until the ambulance came. The understanding nurse's face also changed from heartbroken to depressed. This should have been a happy thing, because more than 10 years have passed, and he recognized me at a glance, and still remembered that I was sitting in the second row by the window. Because he only remembers the best students, he said that he always knew that I would succeed, and now I have become an excellent doctor and saved him. Then what? Adam couldn't help laughing. He knew this feeling too well. He had experienced similar feelings more than once in his previous life. I said I'm a nurse. The most understanding nurse said depressedly. He said nurse? In surprise, and the tone was really harsh, although he reacted later and said that it was great. It was no longer any comfort. Obviously, nurses are nothing in his eyes. So you are not going to be a nurse? Adam smiled. Then what are your plans? I haven't thought about it yet. The most understanding nurse shook her head and said, anyway, I can't be your operating nurse today. I don't want my poor condition to affect your operation. Then take a few days off and think about it. Adam smiled and said, my mother is also a nurse. In my eyes, nurses are also excellent, but if you have the ambition and want to prove it to others, you can consider going to medical school and becoming a doctor in the future. Doctor? The most understanding nurse murmured. Don't tell me you haven't thought about it, Adam reminded. In the operating room, I noticed several times that you looked at Carter and others with envy. Can I? The most understanding nurse said uncertainly. Then you have to ask yourself, do you have the determination? Adam looked at her. Since you need the recognition of others, then first recognize your own heart, get your own recognition first, and then work tirelessly in the direction you recognize. Be a doctor or a nurse, as long as you recognize yourself, go all out, and do your best. It is enough for others to give you a thumbs up and have nothing to say. Seeing her in deep thought, Adam smiled and left first. This kind of thing depends on her. Melendez, go get the application list for clinical research. Adam smiled at the little man. Yes, the little man responded and left. Dr. Duncan, are we going to perform the third operation? Carter said excitedly. Today is a good day. Adam smiled. The preparations are all done. The improvements that need to be made have been made, and the new serum can be made at any time. It's time to move forward. The little man quickly brought the newly updated application list. Adam glanced at it and checked a name. It's her. Chapter 873 Cinderella Medical Center on the operating table. As soon as Adam checked the box, the hospital immediately contacted the people on the list. That night, the patient flew over accompanied by her family. Adam asked her to be hospitalized first and have a comprehensive physical examination. The next day, are you ready? Adam helped Peggy tidy up her white coat. Yeah. Peggy smiled and said, this is very interesting. Okay, follow me. Just watch and don't talk. Adam ignored the gossiping eyes of the 4 little ones and took Peggy to the ward. Peggy wanted to participate in the whole process. Adam naturally would not refuse. Dr. Duncan will not agree to such a question. Do you know how difficult it is to participate in such clinical research? As soon as he arrived, he heard the patient's sister inside persuading him. What do I disagree with? Adam glanced at Peggy, who was following him, and walked in. A middle-aged African-American woman, Greta Berry, was lying on the bed, and her sister was standing beside the bed. Is there any way to postpone the surgery for a few hours? Patient Greta said, my boyfriend's flight was cancelled, and I want him to come here. Greta, the patient's sister, wanted to interrupt, but the patient was more skilled and interrupted first. He has some problems. Greta ignored her sister and just looked at Adam. He knows so much about this, I don't even know what to ask. Are you reconsidering this treatment? Adam asked. She's not. The patient's sister had inquired about the situation in advance and knew that this was a very rare opportunity. She was afraid that her sister would change her mind at the last minute and anger Adam, who would kick her sister out of the project. So she hurriedly said, Andre and I have only been together for a short time. Greta said to herself, this treatment will be fatal, right? Yes. Adam nodded. The tumor in your brain is very invasive. Even if we don't do the surgery, you will only live for a few months. But Andre and I can spend these days together. Do you know how precious these days are? Greta interrupted excitedly. We know. Adam looked at her. So from the time we contacted you, notified you, to your hospitalization yesterday for examination, we informed you of all the information in detail, and repeatedly reminded you of the risks involved. Only after obtaining your consent did we start preparing the serum. I'm not going to cancel it. Greta paused. I just said I'm going to wait for Andre. He will help me make a decision. We can wait, but the immune serum that kills tumors can only last for a few hours. Lexi suddenly said. Can't we wait for 3 hours? Greta said stubbornly. Okay. Adam stopped Lexi. The operation is completely voluntary. We can wait for 3 hours. Then he led everyone out of the ward. Is this your daily work? Peggy shook her head and said, it's not very interesting. Of course it's not as interesting as mathematics. Adam smiled and said, but when you can really save a person, the sense of accomplishment is enough to offset these unpleasant things. She's overdoing it. We clearly agreed that we would start making the serum after we confirmed it again and again. Lexi was eager to show off today. If it is delayed until it becomes ineffective, it will be a waste of precious medical resources. This kind of people is not uncommon. Adam glanced at her and said, just keep a normal mind. After all, as she said, this operation is very risky. It's normal for her to hesitate. Let's see what her sister says. As he said that, he turned and looked at the patient's sister, who was walking out of the ward. Just now in the ward, she winked at Adam. Obviously she had something to say. I'm sorry, Dr. Duncan. The patient's sister apologized first. It's okay. Adam shook his head. What's the matter with Greta's boyfriend? Why didn't she mention him when she was in the hospital yesterday? She doesn't have any boyfriend at all, the patient's sister said excitedly. 4 months ago, she came back from a cruise and said she met her soulmate. There are no photos and no one has seen him. This kind of tumor can produce hallucinations, right? Yes. Adam nodded. Temporal lobe tumors can blur the line between reality and fantasy. That's it. The patient's sister nodded repeatedly. Dr. Duncan, can you tell her that you can't wait for Andre anymore? Or just tell her the truth. I can't talk about her. Every time I talk about it, she says that I'm a good sister with a husband and children. And she is alone, a poor thing who needs to send herself flowers on Valentine's Day. She says I can't bear to see her well. It's not her talking. It's the tumor talking. Adam comforted. Of course you are a good sister, otherwise she would be alone now. Thank you, Dr. Duncan. The patient's sister covered her mouth and looked at Adam gratefully. It's not that I want to say anything about her, but her story is too outrageous. I'll tell you and you'll know. She said she was on a boat tour in Greece and stopped at Santorini for a while. They all got off the boat to play. After playing for a while, she wanted to run back to the boat, but her shoes fell off. At this time, the horn on the boat blew, so she didn't stop. After getting on the boat, she sailed away from Santorini. At dinner that night, Andre suddenly appeared with her shoes. Then they fell in love. Does it sound familiar? The story of Cinderella, Lexi shouted. Yes. The patient's sister smiled bitterly and said, It's the story of Cinderella. This story is outrageous. Now my sister has this disease again. We haven't seen this so-called Andre for more than 4 months. How can I believe her? It's very simple. Adam smiled and said, just check and you will know if Greta is Cinderella. As he said, he used his connections to investigate whether there was a Prince Charming named Andre. The result surprised everyone. It really happened. Adam helped to contact the other party, and waited for him to fly over and meet Greta, and then discussed the operation. According to Andre, the African-American Prince Charming, I will never forget that scene. She jumped onto the gangplank of the ship with one shoe, and her hair was flying in the wind. This is the most beautiful picture I have ever seen. This is our fairy tale. After the two met, with the miracle of the fairy tale in front of them, they both believed that Cinderella would eventually live happily with Prince Charming. Adam was a little entangled and wanted to terminate the operation, because the omen was getting worse and worse. After all, fairy tales are all lies. But at this time, Greta, who had changed her mind at the last minute, no longer said how precious the remaining days were. She wanted to live happily with her Prince Charming forever through the magic of this operation. How could a few months be enough? The patient's sister and boyfriend also apologized and asked again and again. At this point, Adam thought about it and agreed. With Greta's afro, it can fly in the wind. With such good looks, she could be considered as a soul made by a tall, handsome and successful man. This luck might really create a miracle. Adam's clinical research operation required such a miracle. So, Cinderella lay on the operating table. Chapter 874, The King of Toxic Milk's Outrageous Operations at the Medical Center. Operating Room. Let's suffocate for fairy tales together. After Adam accompanied Peggy to clean and disinfect, he walked into the operating room, opened his hands, let the operating nurse help him put on his clothes, and encouraged everyone. That's right. He showed his cards. If it's not a good omen, it's a bad omen, so he might as well make it as bad as possible. After all, good things will come. Thinking of this, Adam spoke again. Today, we are one step closer to our crazy dream. Everyone looked at each other. Only Peggy looked normal. In the eyes of others, Adam is a tall, great and glorious existence. But she is too familiar with Adam. What hasn't she seen? She has seen too many of Adam's bad tastes. She is a super genius, and she knows that this matter must be practiced, and theory is combined with practice. So although she doesn't understand the meaning of these two classic poisonous milk quotes of the future unparalleled poisonous milk king of the parallel universe, but it doesn't prevent her from reading Adam's eyes and tone, and she understood it instantly. So in front of the multi-dimensional isomorph of Captain Marvel's infant body in a parallel universe, what's surprising? Isn't that nothing surprising? Lexi has been paying attention to the interaction between Peggy and Adam. Seeing Peggy's expression of indifference, her eyes suddenly darkened. This sense of distance is really too touching. I don't plan to be a surgical robot in surgery. It's not very interesting. I don't plan to eliminate cancer all at once. Let's set a small goal first and redefine a new treatment for malignant glioma in the next 10 years. I'm not playing for winning or losing. I'm just serious. Adam suddenly couldn't stop, and every sentence was a king-level poisonous milk. Either don't do it, or do it to the extreme. The real king of poisonous milk, the true words of the industry Hades. He naturally won't miss it. The stunned people opened their mouths wider. Peggy's expression changed, frowned and called out. This was too stupid, and she couldn't stand it. Haha. Adam glanced at everyone, and the bad premonition suddenly disappeared in the dumbfounded funny expressions of everyone. So he walked to the position of the main surgeon with a smile. A tough life does not need explanation. Let's start. Adam closed his eyes and silently said in his heart, I will have surgery today and be on the cover of the Lancet next week. When he opened his eyes again, he put away his magical power of reverse poison milk scalpel. Halfway through the operation, her blood pressure is rising and her heart rate is falling. Inject 0.1% mannitol and 20 milliliters of diuretics. Cinderella's intracranial pressure was once so high that it caused cerebral edema, but with Adam's rescue, she survived safely. The operation was over. Adam did not go to see the patient's family, but sent the little guy and Lexi to go. It succeeded. Why are you not excited? Peggy said in surprise. Don't talk. Adam didn't let Peggy speak. Before the operation, Adam kept stacking buffs, and he felt very good after the bad times. During the operation, even though there were many dangerous situations, Adam handled them easily, as if he had divine help. Now the operation is over, but Adam doesn't know what's going on now. In order to prevent the poison milk from taking effect again, it's better not to say anything. Everything will be discussed after Cinderella survives tonight. Peggy rolled her eyes at him and tactfully didn't ask any more questions. She understands this joke. The two of them were intimate for a while. Peggy was taken back by Assistant Lisa and the others. It was very tiring to participate in the operation throughout. Peggy did everything she should do. If Cinderella can survive tonight, the subsequent MRI and various blood tests, and the collected data can all be directly transmitted to Peggy for optimization. This will lay a solid foundation for the subsequent expansion of results. This night was very long. The next day, Dr. Duncan, this is the MRI film that was just taken. The little man came over with a film. Behind him was Lexi, who was in a bad mood. Carter and George heard the news and ran over from the outpatient department and the emergency room. This big thing involved their attention too much. They were all eager to know the latest progress. Let's go. Adam glanced at them, took them to the film viewing room, and put 2 films of Cinderella before and after the operation on the film viewing board. When the light came on, Cinderella's brain scan was clearly displayed. Who can tell me the result? Adam said expressionlessly. Has the tumor shrunk? George said uncertainly. It seems to have not changed much. Carter stared at the 2 films, looking at them again and again. It has shrunk. The little man took the vernier caliper, measured it, and said affirmatively. Dr. Duncan? Lexi looked at Adam. Yes. Adam glanced at everyone. His expression gradually changed, and he smiled. The tumor is shrinking. The serum is working. Yeah. Everyone cheered immediately. Congratulations, Dr. Duncan. This is a great medical breakthrough, Lexi said excitedly. Oh, God, this is amazing. Adam, you are so awesome, Carter and George exclaimed. This is a small step for Dr. Duncan, but a big step for mankind to conquer cancer. The little man's eyes were enthusiastic. The noise in the film viewing room was so loud that it soon alarmed others. When they learned what happened, they also cheered for Adam's breakthrough. One person told 10 people, 10 told 100 people. When the chief of surgery came in 2 steps at a time, the whole hospital was cheering. This is indeed an honor for Adam, but it is also an honor for the entire medical center. Not to mention that Adam is so popular, a masterpiece of genius. As soon as the chief of surgery saw Adam, he smiled like a flower, stretched out his hands and shook Adam's hands, and said excitedly, Congratulations, Dr. Duncan, you succeeded. I always knew you would succeed. Thank you, and thank you for your support. Adam smiled. Of course, the chief of surgery was overjoyed and said with great pride, with your groundbreaking masterpiece, Dr. Duncan, our New York Medical Center will surely surpass Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, and Massachusetts General Hospital in one fell swoop, and become the well-deserved #1 teaching hospital in the United States and the world. The ranking of teaching hospitals is affected by many factors. Adam wanted to be modest, but seeing the expectant look of the chief of surgery, he could only smile and agree. Of course, we have a general surgery master like you, a top cardiothoracic surgeon like Dr. Burke, a top neurosurgeon like Dr. Shept, a top neonatologist like Dr. Montgomery, and a top plastic surgeon like Dr. Sloan. We do have the strength to compete for the first place. Yes, the chief of surgery clenched his fist excitedly. This is his surgery, his hospital. He can tolerate his wife cheating on him. He can tolerate his wife wanting a divorce. But if his hospital and his surgery department, despite his efforts, still cannot win the championship and become the first teaching hospital, he will never resign himself to it. Now, he is almost swelled. P.S. Thanks to Banchin for the reward. Chapter 875 The Bloody Case Caused by Adam. Medical Center. Cafeteria. Adam, congratulations. Meredith congratulated. Thank you. Adam was in a good mood. You are exaggerating. Christina stared at Adam, looking left and right, and finally thought of something and said, "The 4 interns under you can't get extra points for your research project results, otherwise it would be too unfair." "No problem." Adam smiled and nodded, then thought for a moment, took out the pink surgical Holy Grail pager from his pocket, put it on the table, and pushed it in front of Christina. "Forget it, I'll give it to you." "What do you mean?" Christina frowned. "We can't start the Holy Grail battle for surgery in a short time," Adam explained. "George's father won't have much time left, and George certainly can't stay in the hospital all the time. He needs to go back to visit his father often and accompany him during his last moments. This clinical research project has made a major breakthrough, and the subsequent follow-up diagnosis and treatment will require more energy. So I need an intern to watch over it all the time. Someone also has to be in charge of the outpatient department. In addition, when I perform surgery, someone has to follow me. 4 interns will be very busy for a long time, and they can barely sleep, so how can they have the energy to participate in the Holy Grail battle?" "You are right. It's a waste to keep this kind of thing, so I'll give it to you. You best friends can solve it internally." "Give it to you." Meredith smiled. "Damn it." Christina took the Holy Grail of surgery and played with it in her hands for a while, then threw it to Adam and said dejectedly, "It was originally an exciting competition, but you messed it up like this. It's completely boring." Everything would be boring in the face of his achievements. Meredith looked at Adam with her blurry eyes and sighed. "It's hard to imagine that a colleague from the same class as us would have a procedure named after him." "It really is." When Christina heard this, she had been stirring with a fork, but now she simply put it down, holding her chin, and said speechlessly, "From now on, when we talk about this operation, we have to call it the Duncan procedure." "It's the Duncan Adler procedure," Adam corrected with a smile. "Really?" Christina looked at Adam in disbelief. "At this moment, you still bring her with you?" "Duncan Adler procedure. How can it be better than Duncan's procedure?" "She doesn't care about this. This is not the Duncan Adler formula last time. She is a mathematician, and her role in it is not as big as the last Duncan Adler formula. This may be the first step for mankind to conquer cancer. You put her name in this procedure, which is a disguised way to weaken your achievements. Peggy's contribution is completely worthy." Adam smiled and said, "If it weren't for her exquisite calculations, using scarce data to help build the most complete mathematical model, do you think that only 3 times can make a breakthrough in this groundbreaking scientific research operation?" "Don't joke. The idea of using viruses to eliminate tumors is not my original idea. Someone mentioned it many years ago, but why didn't there be any movement later?" "Because they knew it was too difficult, almost impossible. I also wanted to give it a try. Maybe all 12 opportunities have been used, and 12 patients have died in a row, and there is a high probability that there will be no progress. The result at that time will be that this clinical research project will be terminated, just like those people in the past, without causing any ripples." "She is a mathematician, and perhaps she doesn't care about leaving a name in medicine, but I will not erase her contribution." Of course, deep down in his heart, he also has to thank the 2 kings of poisonous milk. Adam feels that if they hadn't blessed them with so many classic poisonous milk, this fairy tale would most likely have been shattered directly. It is true that when Pluto opens his mouth, the god of death also rolls away. Christina and Meredith were silent. "Damn it. This is true love." After a long time, Christina laughed at herself and said, "I dare say if it was Burke and me, it would only be Burke's style, not Burke Young's style." "It's true love." Meredith sighed and agreed, "If it was Derek and I, it would probably be Shep's style, not Shep Gray's style." "That's because your mother Alice Gray is so famous, and she has created so many styles," Christina complained. "Shep can't be compared with Gray at all. Once they are on the same level, even if Shep is in front, others will only pay attention to Gray behind. So be confident, if it's you and Shep, the name of the style is Shep's style, which is 100% certain, not something that is probably." Meredith paused, and glared at her best friend who had stabbed her in the back. Adam smiled but said nothing. He is not Sheldon. How could he make such a low-level mistake? Peggy may not care about the Duncan Adler formula, but this may be the first step for mankind to conquer cancer, and it is destined to break the circle. She must want to leave her name on it. If Adam did not put her name on it, the consequences would be serious. Just look at Leonard. Leonard came up with the idea. Sheldon used mathematical calculations to improve it, published a paper, and accepted an interview. As a result, the entire report only mentioned Sheldon, but Leonard was baby is angry. Even Penny wanted to buy a gift for baby Leonard that he was interested in, but she just pricked up her ears to listen, and she was still upset. In the end, if Sheldon hadn't gone to the reporter to ask for Leonard's name to be added, and there were indeed reports mentioning Leonard afterwards, I'm afraid Leonard, who has always been able to endure what ordinary people can't endure, would have completely broken up with Sheldon. This is a recognition of personal achievement and value. It's a very serious issue. Besides, he really doesn't mind leaving his name with Peggy. What are you laughing at? Christina simply stood up, picked up her lunch, and walked out, saying sourly, I'm going to see my fiancé to balance my hormones. I have something to ask Derek, too. Meredith also stood up, smiled at Adam, and said horrifying words. This. Adam grinned and began to pray for Dr. Burke and Dr. Shept. He never thought that he would raise such an unfriendly question to others. This should be the classic question in the medical field. If your mother and I fall into the river together, who will you save first? No, it's sharper than this. It should be your most beloved little daughter and I fall into the river together, who will you save first? This kind of achievement that can be recorded in history is definitely a status of a daughter for Dr. Burke and Dr. Shept. And she was not crying or making a fuss. She was not in her non-mainstream rebellious period of messing around with the wrong people. She was not the cutest and most pitiful little girl in her most lovely and pitiful period. And given the honesty of Dr. Burke and Dr. Shept, Adam was not optimistic about their answers at all. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.